Oh my God, I was so scared.
In person, motherfuckers.
Oh, it has been more than a year. We did one in this garage
Yes.
in 2021. None in the entire year of McMahon. Not. I call that. What do we call this? Acoustic. This is the acoustic wrestler.
this is
like
in
Nirvana unplugged,
We
but
don't have
way
to wait for
plugged
the
in.
other one to talk for a second.
Yeah, we're not constantly concerned about our internets at our various families' homes.
I am, of course, Dylan Gott. That is John Hastings.
I am John Hastings. We are bringing you one of our fucking a dead corpse episodes of the Wrestler
Ooh,
Review. That's
yeah.
right. The funeral's already started, and the uncles have been drinking wine in the parking lot.
That's right. This episode, or however many it turns into, is going to be on
I've decided
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
I've decided it's one episode, very long.
That's really good. One episode very long?
One episode, very long. Sorry.
No, I think we should just do, because Billy Gunn had 6 parts, so we should do The Rock in 20 minutes.
I think, yeah, The Rock, well, of course, The Rock did not have the impact to the...
Hawaii, famous.
Blah, blah. Let's concentrate mostly on all of his braggings about having threesomes when he was playing in the CFL.
That is a crazy thing, is that The Rock, you think about this guy who is, like, obviously one of the great money earners, and he wanted to be, so the whole thing is, like, for him, his dream was to be Michael Strahan growing up. Legit, he wanted to be Michael Strahan, and then he was in the CFL, and you know, like, everyone in Canada makes fun of the CFL. Do you know how, like, fucked you have to be as an athlete to go from the Miami Hurricanes, who won the national championships and were like a dynasty back then, starting on
They're
the
the
Miami
U,
Hurricanes.
baby. There's an ESPN documentary about it. Didn't a bunch of people
Oh,
die in a
yeah.
plane crash? They got a cool logo.
Everyone did blow.
Everyone
they
did
partied
blow.
with what's it called? 2 Live Crew.
Come on, did they really?
100% pop that pussy. That was the fucking thing. They hung out with 2 Live Crew.
Oh,
they fucked each other. They fucked everybody. They
had-
didn't fuck each other. I don't know about that.
I
They probably
really
did.
hope
Odds
2
are.
Live Crew came on. They started playing Pop That Pussy, and everyone looked at each other and went, my ass is the pussy. Okay, but here's what the thing is. Here's how I know that that's an important university is I remember kids at Broadview Elementary in Ottawa wearing
Oh, yeah.
merch from, like, the U.
And The Rock was on that team. He just like got a separated shoulder and then eventually like. No.
Here's what I think about The Rock is. This
Okay.
kind of goes to a conversation we were having earlier, which is The Rock is a very pretty. There's a weird thing in this society where very handsome men just get
Okay.
to not have to learn how to be in society.
That's very funny.
And then they eventually just marry a very intense woman and then have like a McMansion in a suburb and a nice large SUV and are kind of like, I don't know, I guess I love my kids. And here's
Yes.
what the thing with The Rock. The Rock faced no adversity until he got there, and then he was humbled in the perfect way. You will not play in the National Football League. You will go to Saskatchewan, where they don't even know what a Samoan is.
Yeah.
And they will be racist to you. What are you, Samoan? Was that a type of Chinese? Build my railroad, they would say, and The Rock was confused. By the way, he went by The Rock then. And that in that moment, he looked up to the moon, and he went, this will not be me. And then he did what you always do in that situation. You call people that used to work with your dad, and you go to work for them.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to say. It's like every single rich kid story where it's like he tried a thing that was outside of his wheelhouse, and then he just worked for his dad.
Here's the difference, though. Dwayne Johnson, he faced one moment of adversity,
And then he was like, "Fuck this."
and then he was like, I will live every day to no longer feel this.
But like that's the crazy thing about
the
it
best.
is that he at least isn't like a lot of guys have that get defeated by life and then work for their dad and then are pissed about it. But he's like, this is great, man, because he knows that most people who fail in the CFL just like you have to get a job.
How many people do you know that have played in the CFL? I have worked for 2.
Really? I don't know. So the only
Duke-
person I know that
Duke Ellington co-hosted the Duke and the Dandy Man show. I was an intern.
Duke Ellington.
Duke, like Ellingston or something. It's almost Duke.
Ellington.
It's not Ellington. It's very close. He played.
Duke Ellington.
He played for, I think, Calgary, and then was a sports show host in 2001 when I was an intern at the Team 1200 Ottawa radio station.
So this is the other fun thing about doing these shows live is you get to watch us check our notes.
Yeah, you get to watch Dylan. You get to watch. First of all, you get to watch Dylan check his notes on this one because he was in charge of researching The Rock.
Oh,
I was in
yeah.
charge of researching Stone Cold Steve Austin. All I've done is look up what kind of beer did they use for Stevie Weiser.
Oh my goodness.
Natty
yes.
Ice is what it was. Yeah, we're drinking Yingling, baby.
That's fucking hilarious. No, but obviously The Rock grows up, and this is the interesting thing about
He grows up in the territories, and it's very interesting in that I believe this. I believe that Rocky Johnson was essentially just like a child's drawing of a 70s man. Like he's just like,
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
I got muscles. I'm going to cheat on you. And The Rock's mom was like, that's fine. And then looked to her parents, and Peter Maivia was just like, I will get to this man. And then just raised they raised their son. But like you have to understand, like The Rock's grandmother is the only woman spoken positively by Ric Flair in his book. Like he's never just like any other woman in that book is like, I met this stewardess and then I shit in her hair. And then he talks about The Rock's grandmother, and she was like, she was very nice lady. She was very good to all the wrestlers, which leads me to believe that she once, like Ric Flair was like showed his dick in the robe, and she grabbed the flaccid penis and just had a switchblade next to it, and it was just like, oh my. Like, I don't know what she said. I'm like, I'll cut your fucking dick off.
Or she saw the dick and was like, well, that's very nice.
Yeah.
And just made him feel like he had a mom finally.
Yeah, it was like, oh, or I bet you she said something sort of cutting, like, oh, is that what you think is a big dick? That's what I bet you should, because I get that would crush Ric Flair. Who's got a bigger dick?
No, please.
Is it Arn? Is it Arn? Arn won't show me it. He wears a bathing suit in the shower.
Well, this is, the other, and it's a very, like, insular community. So The Rock, obviously, is the grandson of High Chief Peter Maivia, and High Chief Peter Maivia and Rocky Johnson were friends, and what do you do to your friend? You fucking basically bang their sister and then cheat on them constantly.
No, did you bang their daughter? Didn't he bang it? It's his daughter.
Oh, it's his daughter, too. Jeez.
So they're much closer friends.
Can I bang your daughter? 100%. Let's
Yeah.
go. Flex, flex, flex.
You're a father. In 18 years, if one of your female friends was just like, yo, I'm dating your son, I assume you'd be
I
like,
killed him.
yeah, I would assume, I've met your son twice. I'd kill them. I'd be like, I just feel like Dylan's busy and I can take care of
Also,
this.
like, I'm not gonna fucking have anyone with BPD dating my son. Like, that's not gonna happen. You know
What's
what I mean?
BPD?
It's the new one that they're diagnosing everyone with. Borderline personality disorder.
You know what I want to be for like 30 minutes? I want to
Oh,
be.
buddy, let's be anti-mental health people. We'll fucking make so much money. That's the new thing. That'll be a new thing.
I know
do some
it.
push-ups. Don't-
Sir, I live in the United States. Do not sit there.
Oh, yeah.
I have seen billboards that say that we're stuck in traffic feeling sad. That's your SSRI. And I'm like,
yeah.
it's not though.
You guys, you just quit sulking up, start bulking up, and that's what I'll do.
So I went and got I told you this. I went and got an ADHD diagnosis.
Yeah.
And they were like, and the woman's face was the best. And this is how I know these tests are real. Because in her eyes, she was like, you are not going to believe this. Not ADHD. And I was shocked. I was like, what is it? And she was like, crippling and intense anxiety. And I was like, how do we treat that? She's like, a lot of pills. And I was like, but you have like never met me. And she's like, I don't know. And I was like, all right, well, see ya.
Yeah, it's fucking. They gave me ADD medicine based off a 20-question multiple choice quiz, and one of the questions just rephrased ADD. It was like, with regards to attention, do you have a deficit? And I was like, yeah, I do. And then now I got a bunch of Adderall in my house that I'm thinking of selling as merch because I don't do it anymore. I would just get fucking annihilated on Adderall
Buddy,
at 7 a.m. and
I
then be like,
remember you.
Let's write a script, and they'll be like, "Who are you?" And
you
I'm like,
remember
"Oh,
so-
sorry, I'm just calling the operator."
Hang on.
pitching
Do you
them.
remember some of the Wrestler Review business meetings we had when you were on Adderall?
Oh,
Because
it was
one
great.
of them,
I got them done.
Part of it,
I got things done.
one
on
of them
Adderall.
was, hey man, you need to get on this ADHD medication. I'm getting a lot done.
Oh, buddy, it was so good. What the fuck?
Dylan is full just archiving emails. So
Oh, no, it's a fucking it's a force of habit. So did you know this? Did you know? Oh fuck! He has a signature on Wikipedia. They only do that for presidents. Do you know that?
no, they do it for weird celebrities. I find it very uncomfortable that they do that.
He starts wrestling at 24. Also, The Rock he's a problem child, probably because his dad basically, from what I've gleaned, he never speaks ill of his father. But from everything I've read and heard on him, basically he's like, my dad taught me how to work out, and then he left. Like he just
Yeah.
went.
It's
Because
one
his
of-
dad was a wrestler, didn't make much money, and they lived in like basically community housing. And he just basically was like, here's how you get jacked. What do you do with that anger? I don't know, but you're fucking swole as hell and you're 14. I'm about to go fuck somebody in Calgary.
Yeah, here's the things you need to know. I'm a handsome man. You are more handsome than me. I hate that. I will be leaving.
But it's
Do you think about this? I was just thinking about this.
It's
We have
insane that Rocky
way
Johnson
more in
wasn't-
common with The Rock than we should. Like, I
do you mean?
guarantee you, me, and Dwayne Johnson can sit down and have a real dad off, and I guarantee he would hug us both in like those weird hoodies that like
Yeah.
older men that work out wear that are so thin, but they never wear a jacket on top.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he'd hug us, and not together like you'd think. He'd be like, "I really needed this, guys," and we'd be like, "It's like hugging a tree."
Oh man, I can only imagine how hard his body is.
I can only imagine how hard my dick would get if The Rock was like, "John Dillon, bring the wrestler review back. I'm the third co-host," and then he just says, "Come." I would come. I would be like, "We're doing this."
So what happens is the major thing that happens during The Rock's football career and what makes it all fall apart is essentially he has a big shoulder injury. He has a separated shoulder, and as a
irony
kid
that
he
he
got
would
into
go
a lot
on.
of fights. The point where he started playing football was, and this is insane, he walked in. For sure, The Rock, by the way, has like crazy mental disorders because he walked into the high school regular bathroom but decided it was too dirty. So then he just, saying nothing, walked into the staff bathroom for the teachers. And since he was bigger than all the teachers, just like shit in there. And they were like, "You can't do that." And he just went, "I just did." And then he just left. And then he decided that was actually rude. So he just walked into the teacher's class the next day and went, "I'm sorry I did that." And then the teacher was like, "You have to play football."
Here's how I'm going to explain how that happened. I think I know how it happened.
Okay.
He grew up in a world where literally anything is possible. His grandfather
true.
was living on one of the Hawaiian Islands and was like, "I need to figure out how to make money. I'm a tough man. I need to figure out how to make money pretending I'm tough." And he did it. That person's wife was like, "I need to be able to control a lot of erratic alcoholics across the contiguous United States." And she did it.
That is true.
His dad was like, "I want people to think I can play the bass guitar, and I want to fuck people in Edmonton." And he did it.
Yeah.
And The Rock's mom was like, "I want my son to really take care of me." And she got it.
And that's the other thing about that territory is like, it's not like the Hachi Peter Maivia like went out.
No.
They were all there. So like when I think the NWA tries to come in and take it over at some point, and they're like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Because the NWA is just like, "All right, so I'm Jim Crockett, and apparently this is a whole island of heels." The Hawaii.
Yeah.
So
Are you
we're
all healed? I
performing
was on this
for heels,
the
which is
airplane.
crazy.
The people working on the airplane flying here were a bunch of heels. I didn't realize.
So anyway, we're gonna go into the arena and just have to have that sign up that says "White equals good, you equal bad."
Yeah,
which I
yeah.
haven't had to break out since we were in Japan.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's how it works. We save money.
Do your people speak Japanese? Because I've only put the sign in North Carolinian. So I hope. But it's also that interesting thing of the territories is because Jim Cornette has become the history of the territories.
That is so true. It's like
We're getting is he thinks every territory was Tennessee when he liked it for 3 years.
Yeah.
The Hawaiian territory was Peter Maivia, and then he'd fly in a guy he would beat or almost beat.
It's like Puerto Rico.
It was like Puerto Rico and all of those sort of things, and he's a local celebrity. This is sort of something that's kind of lost in lots of places, but also kind of not. In that local celebrity is coming back, but was so much more of a cachet in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s.
It is coming back because of social media, yeah. So it's like everyone is kind of a local celebrity again.
Yeah. Like I was doing the Oshawa Yuck Yucks, and there was like a bunch of people messaging me to be like, there was a big Oshawa TikToker in the crowd. And I was like, "God damn, what the fuck?" She's like, "I'm going to fuck this truck." I think that's what she does. But like, you know what I'm saying?
I'm
Like,
gonna drink all this gasoline and shit out a bunch of small cars.
yeah,
Oshawa.
this guy's my dad. I'm going to offer my boyfriend to him.
How sick would it be if it was
Stop archiving emails.
This one's some random number that's offering me a gig I don't know if I can do. Sorry, guys. The reason I'm quitting is I keep getting unknown numbers messaging me, and then they try and beat me up, but they can't.
Yeah, Dylan is doing a new thing where he can't afford to take jujitsu, so he just randomly sends threatening emails to
I
tech.
can't.
He can't afford it.
No one can afford. This is the other thing about if you look into the history of jiu-jitsu, the hell about this for a left turn, is that like basically if you look at the way the UFC works, it's literally like proving that rich people if they apply themselves, will win because they have more resources than us. Because like all these people that the Gracie family had to fight were just people who had to fight in the streets, and the Gracie family were like, no, actually, we just teach rich people how to beat the shit out of you.
Yeah.
Which is why like Tom Hardy just placed in a jiu-jitsu thing where it's like, can we stop? If you should have to like submit your taxes, and if you make too much money, then you just like, oh, okay, your gross, not your net, but your gross was like over $1 million. You can't fight.
Yeah,
You can't.
no.
You're not
but
allowed
this is
to
the
learn.
other thing is that we're in this weird point where there's just there's this like
Like The Rock.
well the Rock is
Right in.
the Rock is very interesting because he is a blue chipper and all those things that he was when he debuted as Rocky Maivia, but it's actually much darker than it actually is. Like, yes, his dad and granddad were wrestlers, but like, and they helped him get a contract. But let's not fucking mince
But
words.
he's
That
also,
man
like-
is naturally fucking gifted at like
But this
he
is the
worked
thing,
out with his
any-
dad twice, got
any
in the
place-
ring, and Pat Patterson was like, if you'll excuse me, I'm off to kill the rest of the roster.
Dude,
All I want to see is
immediately-
this man.
Immediately, people forget this about like Rocky Maivia. Immediately, he's great, and if it's like 5 years earlier, then like he would not get to the point that he did because of racism. But and that's the
I
reason
got
his
I got
dad
news for
didn't-
you. I
His
got
dad
news-
had his dad was honestly 10 years too early, where it's like if his dad's walking around like that, there's no way he doesn't get a short feud with Hulk Hogan.
Oh my God, if Tony Atlas and Rocky Johnson were 5 years later, and Tony Atlas was not as crazy, like literally, we need to lose. He needs to ask one less old woman, "I want to see your feet," and both of them are getting runs with Hulk Hogan. And let me say this: Hulk Hogan is winning, and Hulk Hogan is really going to try and give some interviews with Mean Gene that even Mean Gene would be like, well, if we say that Hulkster on camera, I'm going to have to answer some questions about why I've spent so many time in Biloxi. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Pardon me, I was just letting my wife know that I no longer have a job here. What else about
Yeah.
race science, Mr. Hogan?
yeah, you know where
Well, I'll tell you something, dude.
Let me say
If you
this.
measure their brains, which I always do,
Yeah.
it's a measure their brains match.
Yeah.
If he wins, Tony Atlas has to give his skull. Anyway.
Brother, I'm not being full of hate, dude. It is just science, dude.
So,
I've been going on a lot of GeoCities websites, dude. You'll find out what those are, brother.
but this is important, is that does this happen if WCW hasn't started the power plant
No.
by this time? Because this is like literally they're like, hey, this guy wants to get into wrestling. Immediately, they call him Flex Kavana, and he's basically in the WWF pretty fast because the WWF knows the power plant has started, so they need to like get these blue chippers, like you're saying, out there, but they don't necessarily have like the resources to actually train them. So he basically go like 6 matches, and then it's like, yeah, he's good enough, just get him in here.
But
But
here's
it's
the
also
difference.
another
You're-
Bobby Lashley incident where it's like, if The Rock would have had just a couple years, he would have come in as Nation of Domination Rock,
I
and then it
disagree.
would have been insane.
I disagree.
You think he was just like, he was already like kind of like a C+ wrestler immediately?
He was just very good. Like the thing is the reason why I take this anecdote is Jim Ross is many things, but weirdly Jim Ross doesn't kind of exaggerate. Because he'll say something creepy. Jim Ross will say something fucked up, but you're like, he believes that. And Jim Ross talks about The Rock like, I have never seen someone that good for that little amount of training. I did not.
Not even Kurt Angle. This is the thing. It's
But
like
Kurt Angle's different because Kurt Angle was
had
already a
whole life.
wrestler.
Yeah,
And like,
he's-
you know what I mean?
The
Like
Rock is 24.
this guy's 24 and he's played for the Stampeders.
But like honestly, The Rock has more of a, and I didn't think it was abnormal at the time because I was a kid who watched sports, but he has more of an analogous career to an actual athlete. Where
Yes.
1996, and he's literally, this is the thing about The Rock, he is done with wrestling in 6 years essentially, or no,
Yeah.
7 years really.
It is, but it's also it's the only 7 years he could have done what he did. Because here's the thing: is you make the exact point of power plant starting. WCW is on a fucking roll. Vince McMahon is fucking scared. The thing that no one ever talks about is this period. It's
It was
the
wide
only
open.
time where you could actually go, "No, Vince, you fucking asshole. We're doing it this way."
He's doing anything he can.
Which is what Pat Patterson, Jim Ross, Jim Cornette, and all Vince Russo were able to do. What's very interesting now, and you can look at the Fed now, how quickly they were able to steer that ship where everyone's going, oh yeah, we should combine War Games and Survivor Series. This is amazing.
I can't even believe I didn't
No one
think of
thought of that. How did no one?
Dude, I can't
Holy
believe that.
Dylan, we are ending a podcast of 7 years of asshole internet commentary, and never once were we like, Survivor Series. Like,
Because we
literally,
gave up. The whole
we were
thing
walking
about-
around with peanut butter in one hand, chocolate in the other, and never once did we clap.
This is the craziest thing. It's like we never, because I think every single wrestling fan just kind of gave up on WWE so long. We're like, yeah, and then Vince will be like,
I had a new idea. How about we bring back The Rock?
that's not a new idea.
Okay, how about
Okay,
we
but
have
here's
this new
the new
wrestler?
idea.
He's a movie
But he
star
fights
now, and his
me.
name's Dwayne
He
Johnson.
fights me though, and
He
we
fights
don't
me.
we don't film it and we're naked. And
It's
it's
a
in my
casket
house.
match, but the casket's a bed, and we're alive, and we both fuck each other
And
in our
then we-
dirty, dirty, pooey
And
asses.
then I get to be him, and I get to be in one of those movies.
And then I get to suck
I
myself
want to be
off.
friends with Vin. Hello, Vin. It's me, Vince. Vince and Vin.
So the story goes, though, he had a tryout match, and this is a lot of like, I can't believe they. It's so funny, the like differences here. But he has a tryout match, and it's almost the exact same as Tom McGee, except it works out like they thought Tom McGee
Well,
would.
here's the difference.
Because he has it with Owen Hart,
Yeah, but he didn't
and now
have
he's
it
like,
with
"Well, that
Brett.
was a really good match."
He didn't have it with Brett. Here's the
Owen's
difference.
amazing, though.
Owen is. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Owen's the best Hart.
Yeah.
Because he was born at a time when Stu and Helen were tired, so I assume the abuse was minimal. Still,
That's really funny.
heavy, but minimal in
He
comparison.
could beat up Stu earlier than the other kids.
That's
could.
right, 100%. And but Stu was just old enough. I know a guy that, and when this is off mic, I'll give you the name, and you're gonna go, "Oh, that makes all the sense in the world." Which was the dad was too old for the son to physically attack, so he never got that closure. Where I think Stu was just old enough that Owen one time was like, "I'll beat the fuck out of you, old man," and
Yeah.
then he was fine. So because Brett did that with Tom McGee to be like, "See, I'm the great wrestler." Well, Owen's like, "I'll make you look good." But also, listen, I've been in the same room as Tom McGee. Tom McGee was the problem in that situation. Tom McGee was wearing rollerblades while conducting a panel at a WrestleCon. Tom McGee had other issues going on.
That's so funny. They'll show his feet when he's wearing rollerblades. Anyway, WWE obviously starts. Did you know this? His name was Rocky Maivia, and that was a tribute to his grandfather,
No.
High Chief Peter Maivia.
Shut the fuck up.
You know, High Chief is a reference.
That's what I am late at night.
There you go. That's what I was gonna say. Fuck. All right,
Yeah,
we're cancel the rest of the episodes.
Yeah, I
Podcast
understand.
done.
Yeah, that's right.
You cut off my fucking joke. But he debuts as Rocky Maivia.
He's
Good
got
name.
the
Everyone
best
hates
hair
him.
in wrestling.
He's got a great name.
Great
He's-
Jerry curl.
He's happy. He's got his smile, which is I always think it's so interesting where everyone talks about how fucking lame Rocky Maivia was, and essentially what he is now is Rocky Maivia. Like he's just being Rocky Maivia all the time online,
Yeah.
and then occasionally just throws in an "I eat pussy" joke.
Or just the thing I both love and hate about his social media, but it's why I unfollowed it, is the amount of times that guy's like, "I'm gonna bang out of work, but first a glass of tequila," and I just want to be like, "Go,
I want to complain.
suck my
I
ass.
want to. Here's what. Yeah, just to be relatable.
Fuck you. You're
he
not.
knows he goes like this. He's taught himself to swallow it, but it's still here, and then he goes. Bleh.
Yeah.
It's like Krusty and eating the burgers and Simpsons. And he's part of the fucking thing I fucking hate, where it's
Speak, baby.
wake
Come on.
up at 5 a.m. culture, where it's like, I get in at 1. I work nights.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up. I'm not waking up at 5 a.m.
I've had to have this argument with so many people. The new one, and this is part of it. Do you ever have this? When people see you eating late at night and they're like, "You shouldn't eat it late," and it's like,
I'm going to be up for 3 more hours.
I'm going to be up for another 6 hours, you bag of shit. Like,
dog fucker.
yeah. Hey, oh, there's someone with insomnia. Let's give them another thing to think about, you fucking pieces of shit.
The only thing about waking up and then working out is good because you obviously start your day well, but it's like also you just like do it before you go to sleep. Do it like before you go to sleep, and then you're gonna be up till 2 a.m. and that's my whole life. 'Cause,
Yeah.
like that's the only fucking time we have.
Well, it's also the thing of
It's
like,
also all rich guys who like.
this is the other
Here's
thing.
the key to parenting: have a night nurse.
Yeah.
Like where it's like,
Oh,
yeah, just
Dylan.
get someone from a third world country who's very sad to breastfeed yourself.
This is why I
or daughter.
love LA, because LA, unlike Canada, in Canada you never know who comes from money until you're like, of course. But in
Yeah.
America, they're so bad at hiding it. They're just like, you know, it was pretty rough.
Yeah, jeans and a t-shirt, but a gold hat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man, it was pretty rough. My diamond Tesla. It reflected the sun into my giant house and set my credenza on fire.
Oh yeah, he's a nice man, and his name is David Goodman, and he has if you eliminate the money from it and the jealousy that comes with someone having this much money,
I have no
he has
jealousy. of it.
He has a great story where he was literally biking home on streetcar tracks in Toronto, which streetcars are really nice, but like as far as city planning goes,
It's a nightmare. It's a fucking nightmare. It's basically running through your city is a thing that if your bike wheel touches, you are about to die.
So that happened. He smashed into a freaking streetcar.
Yeah.
Has this near-death experience. He's like a fucking financial analyst. He quits immediately. He starts doing stand-up comedy, but he dresses exactly like we do. More like you, actually. He's not wearing fucking Cosby shirts that he found under a dumpster.
Whoa,
but
whoa.
Sorry.
You didn't even pay for that?
in a dumpster.
Well, yeah, bro.
So, anyway, but like, I didn't know he has like this guy has like fucking so much money, like in the hundreds of millions, and I didn't know. And it's just like, yeah, well, and then one guy explained was like, yeah, you just got to look at the brands.
Yeah.
Because it's brands that like they're not really flashy, but it's like if you look on the inside, it's like, wait a minute, Elon Musk sewed this for
Whoa,
you. You
excuse
just
me.
made Elon Musk become a
Was that an Alexander McQueen toothpick? That's right.
yeah, exactly. Like this is actually a Balenciaga spit that someone put in my
Oh my
mouth.
God! Speaking of that, I was at an open mic and this girl was on stage talking about.
Oh,
just-
is that the bears with the things?
No, it's even better. She was just talking about. She's like, "I fucking struggle out here in L.A." And this other person was sat next to her bag and just looked at it and went, "Your bag costs $9,000." And she just went, and the honesty. This is why America rules. She just went, "Yeah, my dad's got money, bitch."
That's good stuff.
And I was like, "That's honesty, baby. That's why."
That's like, did you know I've actually performed in front of John Cleese.
That's why.
Yeah. And you know what? You know what it was? It was a venue, the Sat 200. There was 8 people there, and he was only there to see his daughter. And I saw him lighting up something on his phone with his little glasses around his nose, like this, like right at the end of the nose. He looked up once and then looked back down at the paper. Didn't like what he saw.
That sounds about right.
And then you know what I did to him? I cucked him. I fucked his daughter. No, that's not true. She's very nice.
She is very nice. I'm going to say this. I've seen John Cleese in public twice. Let me tell you about that guy's energy. Not approachable. That guy does not seem like let me get a selfie with this guy. That guy seems like if I ask that guy for anything, he's going to just talk to me about like
he's like an old school movie villain where like I heard an interview where it's like I guess Pink Floyd funded their movies, like Pink Floyd
no,
produced their movies.
George Harrison produced Life of Brian. They couldn't get financing because it was
Wasn't something with Pink Floyd?
they did maybe they had a hand in, but
I think Pink Floyd had a hand. Anyway, whatever. They were like, so you like Pink Floyd? And he's like, absolutely not. Rock music is trash.
Oh
I
no,
only
it's the
listen to
Beatles you're
classical."
thinking
Yeah.
of. No, it's the Beatles. See, because he had to change the quote later because they were like, I assume you love the Beatles, and he was like, why would you assume that?
I love a guy who's like a British villain from a Saturday morning.
No,
cartoon.
he's what he is he's just an English guy
My word.
who hasn't learned to just not answer those questions.
That's
like,
very funny.
Like there's a
English
my
people are so good at speaking down to you, but you know who's good at speaking up? The Rock.
How the fuck did you do that segue? How the
He
fuck,
spoke.
bro?
He spoke up, bro. He spoke up.
Hashtag
And speak
speak
out.
out.
Here,
Oh,
speak out. He
jeez.
DDT'd a woman. That's in his autobiography.
Yeah,
He's like, this bitch fucking around on
And
me.
it-
I fucking DDT'd that
yeah,
bitch.
and that bitch, Rena Mero.
Oh no, it wasn't.
He did it.
And that bitch was
John Hastings.
Kamala Harris. Yeah.
Whoa!
Yeah, that's
she knows
true.
Luna Vachon
So he was the Blue Chipper, and he debuted on Monday Night Raw
against
as a
the
member of-
Sultan. You know what's so crazy?
Yeah, Mark Morrow's entourage.
What?
He was in Mark Marrow's entourage.
No.
He wasn't even. He was just fucking joining. And obviously, he wins at all the matches at Survivor Series. He very quickly wins the IC title from Triple H. And that's the interesting thing about The Rock, and the thing that
The amount of, by the way, the Lesnar reigns of the 90s was Rock Triple H, but we just enjoyed it a lot more. Did you
Yes.
get your gig, Dylan?
Huh? Yes.
Good.
No. This is about other stuff. Don't worry. This is about The Rock texting me saying, "Why are you fucking ruining me so hard?"
You know this isn't live.
No, it is.
Oh, is it? Okay, so here's the thing with this early period of The Rock is the fans hated him, and it was just a time where they just righted the boat. They just went, well, we need this guy, and we need it to work. So unlike with Roman Reigns, where it took 7 years for them to be like, he's a bad guy. And by the way, who doesn't love the bloodline? Who doesn't? I'm at the table. Dylan, are you at the table?
What's a better match? Obviously, Triple H. I was saying Triple H's health problems robbed us of the kind of the finally like Triple H as the mega heel against The Rock with the greatest storyline where it's like, you always were ahead of me. I became the face of WWE, but you're who people think is the face of WWE, and I fucking hate that.
We were robbed of that. I actually don't think it was injuries that we were robbed of. I'll tell you, we were robbed of that by Triple H becoming the Nature Boy Triple H in the 2000s, and just everyone going, fuck this.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You could do it now where Triple H has all this goodwill, but you can kind of dial it back to him being a heel. Or The Rock can be like, because Triple H has all this goodwill now, The Rock could be like, I'm the face of WWE, it doesn't matter. And he's like, well, I never left. You can do that whole storyline.
I want that to be true, but again, that wouldn't work because they would just do it at a crown jewel and everyone would be like, for fuck's sake. You know what I mean? Like, it's, as much as the product is different and it's a lot more enjoyable, it is still very much based in the fact that, like, we still have memories and there's still certain Vince McMahon style things they still revisit. Like,
yes.
Like the Saudi Arabia thing now is just so fucked up. Like, it's
No, but here's the crazy thing about the Saudi Arabia
it's
thing.
how much money it is. It's so much money.
Yeah, it's like a quarter of the money they make. But the other thing is, like, everyone shits on Vince McMahon, but from a pure investor perspective,
That's exactly what he should be doing. You're correct. He absolutely.
he has no problem just doing something that, like, literally is like, oh, what? So I'm in line with a bunch of despots?
I
don't
am
give
a
fucking
despot.
shit. Exactly. And then whereas Triple H would be like, well, how do people perceive this? We need to look at it because he's very much like actually a businessman versus Vince McMahon is just
Well, it's different types
thinks
of
he
different.
could beat up
well, it's-
the U.S. Like
it's
he thinks
different
he beat
eras.
the U.S. government. He probably sees himself.
Like, yeah, Martin Luther King got
I
shot,
guarantee.
though.
I guarantee
He's like,
that
I'm better than Martin Luther King.
that insane fucking. You know that he still apparently goes to Titan Tower to work out. I read this on the
That's fucking sick.
part of the internet. That is a weird fucking move. Oh yeah, I'm not the CEO anymore. I'm still gonna come here to bench though.
That's sick.
I guarantee he walks by the wrestlers and he counts how much they bench, and he goes, "Always, I got to do more."
100%. He's a high level consultant.
100% no. I'm going to say this a million times. He cannot, for what he did, he cannot be part of the business. Because right now they'll still be going through a federal investigation.
Oh yes, but he's in their family.
Doesn't matter. Like they literally, it's crazy bad what he did because it's again investor money.
It's crazy bad all the rapes.
Because
I like the
because
idea of
hang on,
explaining it to
but
someone.
hang on.
So wait,
This
it's
is-
done. If someone wants that,
this is
you-
how insane
Okay.
business law in America is.
Okay.
Which is, it's like, yeah, he was a bad rapist, and they're like,
he wasn't one of the good ones.
yeah, but
Well, like
but
an anti-hero
and you know what's
rapist.
even worse? He used the money to cover that up. That was like that's why
Yeah,
America's insane. Where it's like the worst part is what he did to the women. It's like, no, the worst part is what he did to that money. You
Yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
And you're like, how the fuck? That like
Money rules everything around me.
money rules, people
As
are tools.
The
That's my
Rock said.
T-shirt underneath
Ooh,
this
what
hoodie.
rules, people are tools. That's sick. What's the worst merch you've seen?
Ours.
No, ours is the best.
Ours is the
what's
best.
the lamest merch you've seen?
There was a comedian selling T-shirts that were just his birthday,
That's sick.
and a guy walked up and went, "Is that your birthday?" And he went, "Yeah." And he went, "It's my birthday too." And I thought the guy was going to buy a shirt, and then he did not.
Just his birthday? Why? Because it was a joke?
Because in America, they don't pay openers to the point that they have to basically have merch or they will starve to death in between St. Louis and Louisville, Kentucky.
Rocky Maivia first WrestleMania was
Whoa.
WrestleMania 13.
Who did he face?
The Sultan.
That's right. He fight. I did it for The Rock.
I did it.
I did it for The Rock. I like that everyone now does the impression of Rikishi saying I did it for The Rock by doing The Rock's impression of Rikishi saying I did it for The Rock.
And then he gets Die Rocky Die. He gets Die Rocky Die chance, obviously. But to be real, it's like you've already had Stone Cold Steve Austin. You're already into the Stone Cold Steve Austin Bret Hart feud, which is totally the start of the Attitude Era.
Yeah, I remember that because I was so
It's
a
literally-
WCW
it's a
guy.
double turn.
And then, I remember because you just see Brett. There was something different about those promos because Brett had such, dad who never participated in the raising of children, angry about the garage being messy energy, and it was just something about it being like, oh, I can watch the shit out of this. Like
Oh
it's
my
just
God.
so just like.
Well, that was back in Austin before his injuries, obviously, and like this is the thing about Stone Cold Steve Austin in 1997 is that he is literally like viewed as one of the best wrestlers in the world, and then his promos come together. It's almost like if I guess Daniel Bryan, the Yes Movement, but times 80.
Yeah,
because
it's
like actually people really like but like this
So
is the other thing is Vince was under so much stress. he couldn't just micromanage everything.
He also
Like he killed the yes thing. He fucking murdered it. And they do that in wrestling all the time. They fucking murder these catchphrases, which is something The Rock does amazingly, where it's like
he switches. He
pauses the smell what you're cooking thing. He fucking comes up with new shit all the time.
all the time, and like some of them were nightmare. The it doesn't matter. May he get
Is it the what chant or it doesn't matter? Is it which one's worse?
it
It doesn't matter was bad, but the what's been like 20 years.
It doesn't matter is like what has like circled back and I'm like, this is great again. It doesn't matter. I still fucking hate. Like it's still like I can remember one kid did it to a teacher and I was pretty sure the teacher was gonna punch the kid. Mr. Finlater, Mr. Finlater, what is it, Kevin? It doesn't matter what
That's sick.
Oh my god.
Fuck you. Fuck your fucking everything. So anyway, he did you know this? He turned heel.
What? When? Never.
1997.
Joined the Nation of Domination, one of the most undervalued factions ever. Spun off 3 of the 4 major participants in the Attitude Era. Sorry, Ron. You're going to have to sit that one out. But
and a very
Sexual Chocolate, The Godfather, The
Oh,
Rock,
yeah?
and I'm going to say this also, D'Lo Brown was a huge part of the Attitude Era.
D'Lo Brown is interesting because he had the chest protector gimmick and then they lost that for some reason. And then here's the thing about D'Lo Brown, he looked really cool and intimidating. Not really intimidating, but like he looked really cool in that vest.
Yeah.
But then his chest was just a mess.
It was great. I don't know.
Not a mess, but like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, we have all these other, this is the second 80s, so it's like all these juice heads.
Yeah.
Like Billy Gunn, who like, now you look at Billy Gunn and you're like, the fucking size of this dude. And back then they had problems booking him against people because he was so big. Like, he's like bigger than Hogan. And then he's like, but his whole thing is that he's not a power guy. He's like, his move is that he loves to get fucked in the ass or fuck in the
yeah,
ass.
it's never
whoever
been
you wanna take
established
him.
what he's actually doing
That's
with
the
the ass.
subtlety of wrestling.
I agree with you, and God bless it.
He likes ass. What type? Who
We'll
knows?
Watch. Come back next week to find out, baby.
He'll kick your ass, and then while you're unconscious, he'll
gonna kick
fucking
it?
lick your ass.
Yeah.
He'll full violate you.
I like to lick it. I like to kick it.
Stick it.
Stick it.
Stick
It's the
it.
one I always forget.
Lick.
Kick.
Fuck. Get out.
Yeah.
Lick. Fuck. Get out. That was also
That-
was the original.
Do you
lyrics of
smell what the
song.
Rock is cooking?
No. It was literally like, he's an ass man. Lick. Fuck. Get out.
He's an ass man. Lick. Fuck.
Get
Get out.
Lick. Fuck. Get out.
All right.
That was heel Billy Gunn.
Yeah.
Lick. Fuck. Get out.
More like healed my heartbreak.
That's what that's like.
Rock
greatest-
Nation of Domination rules. It is so fucking good.
It's one of the very few instances in wrestling history where they build a guy up and it works exactly how they want it
Here's
to.
why it works exactly how they want it.
Why?
They listened to the crowd at the right time, and the people that were managing the rise were the 2 best people at booking at that time, which were Jim Ross and Jim Cornette. They were protecting him because they both agreed while watching that tryout match. Jim Cornette is on record, and other people have backed it up, of going, "That's going to be your champion in 5 years." And Jim Ross was like, "Corny's right.
Well, and also like,
we got to fucking protect this guy." And part of the reason
and I
was
love Southern wrestling guys
But-
specifically in certain ways.
yeah. I like-
Everyone in the South, like, that's the thing about. I'm just gonna check that it's still playing because once again we are recording on an
iPhone 5.
5. I thought it would be funny, but then I was like, how do iPhone 5s even work?
Well, what's also good about this joke is
Oh, it's still recording.
Oh, yeah.
This was back when everyone was like, I think someone was saying this, like how social media now is like, oh, it's just super simple to become, if you want to like be successful in social media, just have 80 grand to sync into a camera. And this was back when, these were made back when it was like, people would just make, you know, complete films.
Well,
on
this
these
is this
dog
is going
shit
to your
fuck-
point of jiu-jitsu. We're at a point right now where it's like, do you want to be good at, you want to be able to paint? Yeah, I'm really good at painting. Well, I hope you have 100 grand to sink into search engine optimization, or no one's gonna ever see your shitty fucking watercolors. You
Oh,
cunt.
yeah. And then one guy, one of my wife's friends is really good at painting, but never learned how. So he's like just naturally good, but there's like a way to do it. Otherwise, the painting just falls apart.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know how to do that, and he sold a bunch of paintings. So it's like, these rich people paid 40 grand for something that's just literally going to be like, oh, it's just going to fall out like a pancake in a well-buttered pan, buddy. Anyway, so, and the other thing is, here's why I think it's so perfect. Like, they did protect him, yes, but also he so clearly comes in as, and now he enters in Owen isn't in the Nation of Domination when he's there, is it? Is it still
No.
full heat Nation of Domination?
Yeah, it's
Like,
full. So he
becomes.
he enters in. So okay, I can take you through it because it was the weird. So it's Farouk. It's
He comes in
Farouk.
the
Hang
later
on.
stages
Look
of
at me.
still being
Look
like-
at me. Look at me.
Yes.
It's Farouk, Crush, Savio Vega, PG-13, and a bunch of black extras that I assume Vince McMahon hired so he could just try out different words he remembered from the trailer park.
God.
Then Farouk gets angry at everybody. He fires everyone except for D'Lo Brown. They then rebuild with D'Lo, Kamala, or no, pardon me, not Kamala. Fucking the Godfather.
Yeah.
What was his name when he was the fighting machine?
Karma.
Kama, and Mark Henry at a certain point gets popped in there.
So the one that the one that The Rock joined was just Farouk, D'Lo, and Kama.
Farouk, D'Lo, Kama. Then Mark Henry joins later, and they're like feuding with Ahmed Johnson. Is Ahmed Johnson going to join or not? He joins super briefly, and then everyone's like, "This guy kind of sucks, actually." And everyone's like, "That's true." See,
That's when
Ahmed.
the bloom is off the rose with Ahmed Johnson.
Exactly, and he goes to WCW and becomes Big T.
Which is
the
why
end of
I
the Harlem
think that. Which is why I think, honestly, circling back weirdly, is that I think Rocky Johnson would have been super because like he was ready to just push a guy who was just like, here's a guy with a good look, and like Ahmed Johnson had that fucking. We did an episode on it, but it's like he has that Ultimate Warrior charisma where it's like,
Yeah.
oh fuck, this guy's kicking the fucking shit out of people.
Ahmed Johnson,
The
when he
Pearl
came
River
out,
plunge is fucking
ruled.
still dope. Like the
Oh.
Pearl River plunge is like, and then his promos are just like, oh, this is like, Ahmed Johnson just conveyed something that so many wrestlers can't do, which is this guy's gonna fucking kill the other guy. Like this guy thinks it's real.
Yeah, but this is why, by the way,
Like
Yeah.
it's just like this is how you would yell at someone if you were actually gonna fight them. He's so
they've been
fucking
told
pissed.
that if I don't kill this fucking mover, I don't get to fucking eat, baby. Ahmed Johnson likes to eat. This is why AW is smart in bringing in managers, because I guarantee you Ahmed Johnson would have fucking headlined 3 pay-per-views against Stone Cold Steve Austin
fuck, that would've
if
been
they
sick.
had just said to Jim Cornette, you're putting on a suit and you're going to go manage this fuck. This is the other thing that's very interesting.
No, because Jim Cornette would have had a bunch of like 30s stereotypes.
Yeah.
That would have been like, all right, here's your heel character. You like white women? That's it.
Yeah.
You talk to him.
People are concerned you will dance.
You think you're same as us. You ain't. I know it, but
Yeah.
you think it.
Listen, I think you're all right. You're almost a person.
Oh God, we should stop.
No, those are the views of Jim Cornette. Jim
there you
Cornette,
go.
my name is Dylan Gott.
I have an iPhone 5.
Yeah, I got an iPhone 5.
Good luck
Don't
suing
fucking,
us.
yeah.
We have an iPhone 5.
We filmed this on an iPhone 5, you fucking loser.
Ooh, imagine if this was on a 4. That'd be
Brian
even better.
Last to suck my dick. You've been wrestler reviewed.
So and it's funny because it's like the heel character they come up with him for is just Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, no, I think he comes up with that. I think that they're like you're with them now, and then
Because he won't even say the name The Rock. Obviously, he's going with the Rocky Sucks chance, and it makes sense. Like why he would.
he goes, I'm the Rock now. Like they keep being like it's
No,
Rocky.
that's what I mean. He won't even recognize that his name is Rocky Maivia.
Yeah, that's the best. And he has. I still think the best trunks he ever had, which was not the Brahma Bull on the seat, when it just said The Rock on the tush. Mwah. And he goes on, and I'm going to say it right now. They go on too long, and this is how fucking fast and good he is as a wrestler. He's just in the Nation of Domination, and he's just kind of mean, and he's winning matches, and people like it, and it's fun. They go,
Yeah, man.
Then-
Like he's in the Nation of Domination, and he's one of the best wrestling promos already. 2 years into wrestling, and then by 1999, he's like a public speaker. He's not even.
but
he's
we're
past
not
wrestling.
skipping past the fact that it goes. So they have the Nation of Domination becomes the Nation because The Rock takes over, kicks the Farouk out, and so you have him running the Nation. And this is that, and when they're having the Nation versus DX feud, which is when you get like blackface Sean Waltman, you
Perfect.
get the many Triple H Rock matches. That I think these are the best era of them actually, because they're so without injury, and they're also mid-card matches, so they can actually just be like really fun, cool big man wrestling matches that aren't brawls, but like a lot of power moves. It's a great time for all of this. A lot of interference. Like this is the fun part of the Attitude Era.
Well, they're both transformative in that like they're 6'4", 260, 270 guys, but they're not clunking around the ring. Like the guys like you look at a guy the size of The Rock and the guy the size of Triple H. These guys are like in their mid-20s at this point. They move really, really well, and that's not something that the WWF really had in the 80s or the 90s. Like they had like you look at guys they were trying to push from the 90s and the 80s, and it's guys kind of pretty much like fucking The Godfather, where it's like this guy clonks around the ring. He's huge, but he just clonks around the ring.
Yeah, they miss a sort of charisma, and it's also that sort of thing of it's also I think generational, is that Charles Wright's just a bit older. The Rock is a young guy. Triple H are young at this point, so they're 20. So it's also like they're 6'4" and they're gonna get banged up in the ring, but they're gonna like have a Tylenol and be fine.
And it's also not as taxing a style.
Yeah.
As, like the Rock's high spots are like a kip up, which is still fucking crazy that he's 6'5" can do a kip up. Like
Yeah,
he can do a kip up in his now he's 50, but like in his 40s he was still doing a kip up when he was on the most juice I've ever seen anyone be on.
He is not on juice. He just gets up at 5 a.m.
That's the craziest thing. Is like how much juice.
Not wait for all of this to fall apart. Anyone who's putting
one wants
hashtag
to-
by Natty, like Natty,
Yeah.
it's hashtag ass of steroids. And I guarantee
But
Joe
that's
Rogan's going to
wrestling.
bring it
It's
down.
wrestling, buddy.
This is my theory. Are you ready for this? Joe Rogan is a smart enough businessman to realize that he has veered a little too close to the whoopsie doopsie patch, and he needs to bring it back to mainstream so he can get another $100 million payout and keep playing those stadiums. Because at a certain point, the
All he
tide's going
needs
to
to
turn.
do, all Joe Rogan needs to do, which is
And-
what he does, he just doesn't. You don't switch your views. You just don't talk about it anymore. Which is just he'll just have a bunch of comedians on. Just have Tom Segura on again.
I
These
mean,
are my friends. Like we both have viewpoints that I guess people wouldn't like, but not in that way. But like you know what I mean, where it's like if you talk to John about AEW, or you talk to me about like I don't know, the vaccine.
Women.
Yeah, women and the vaccine. I honestly think the vaccine works. I just don't think women should get it.
it's weird. It's what's so weird is how often you make me watch you
Why
tell
are
your
we
wife
wasting
that.
this on women?
Yeah,
that
you-
was mine.
Yeah, you kept saying. What's weird is honey, you don't need it. I'll protect you. Is what you kept saying.
There's a bunch of men in third world countries that needs this vaccine. Why are we wasting it on Western disgusting
You don't-
women with their droopy tits?
Dylan,
and
you don't need to
yippy
yell at
mouths?
me. Dylan, you don't need to yell at me. You had me at yip. What is it?
I'm just putting it into the iPhone 5, and the iPhone 5 will direct it to where who needs to be.
It's a great. I assume this will be going all onto TikTok. TikTok's long, right? I don't know how social media works.
Yeah, TikTok, that new app where every fucking video has to be 2 hours. So he, yes, he's in the Nation of Domination. Eventually starts feuding with Stone Cold Steve Austin for the IC title in 1997.
That's right. He's the post Owen feud with Stone Cold, and he's the best version of this because how does Stone Cold Steve Austin beat The Rock for the IC champion? First thing he does is he throws that belt in the river, which is the best.
That is the only time, which sucks because that belt was the best Intercontinental title by far.
by far.
But this is the only time in
They
WWE's
explain why they changed the belts.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not just someone be like, this isn't the belt anymore, which is like so weird because in WWE lore, I guess the champion gets to like change the belt if he really wants to.
Now they say that.
Like if they want to.
Well,
they're
now
like,
because they
no,
have
I
all
want
the
to
they
change
have all
it.
the like the plates and stuff like that. Well, the
Well,
plates
also like that's just a way to like.
sell different belts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I hate it.
I think it's hilarious that
Bear
like
in mind, I do have a.
we feel bad about like weird Patreon things we do, and the WWE is like, no, let's do 9 title changes so these losers will buy $400 belts.
Yeah, I hate it. But what I don't hate is the fact that how Stone Cold Steve Austin wins the Intercontinental Championship is he drives the Austin 316 truck into the Nation Domination, gives them all stunners on the hood, and pins The Rock
Yeah.
because he can't wrestle a match because 2 months ago, Owen Hart destroyed his career. This is something that's not talked about enough with Steve Austin. The Attitude Era was
Would not this? By the way, this dude would. There's no fucking way this could happen now because it's literally a guy who's bicked his head, looks like a white supremacist, beating up.
first.
Hey.
Before you even get to the beating up, drives a truck, a la many different rallies that have ended this way.
That's true.
Yeah,
Fuck.
He essentially Charlottesville's the Nation of Domination.
Charlottesville, the good guy.
Yeah, yeah.
So much so that they have the famous line of like, this ain't a black thing, this ain't a white thing, this is a me a kicking a your ass thing, and then they're like, well, that's dealt with. And everyone knows it's not racist now. And
Yeah,
it's like, I don't know, man. Lone white guy.
Everyone knows that man wearing a vest with the Terminator skull on the back of it absolutely loves Malcolm X.
Okay, this isn't a race thing. Here's the stipulation: the match happens in a Protestant church.
Yeah.
And I get to burn the Quran at the end. It's just like, oh no.
Yeah. We are taking no sides in this match except
This is
for
not a race thing, though.
yeah, except you're bad. Admit
But that's
it.
the thing. In the '90s, all of the people who were like in charge of all entertainment were all white. So it was like you could do that. You could be like, it's
And
not
there-
racist. Well, he said it's not racist.
And there was also
That is not racist.
There was also the idea that it was the end of history and all problems were solved because we defeated Russia. So it was like,
Yeah, that's true.
Sorry, black people, racism isn't a thing anymore. And they're like, wait, what? And he's like, are you guys stupid? Because that's what my grandfather says. Like,
Oh, that's good stuff. Okay, Ken Shamrock.
oh yeah, the Ken Shamrock is weirdly ignored as an Attitude Era figure, but
He
was
is.
he's the model Rick Martel of the Attitude Era.
I think it's interesting because every single other thing about the Attitude Era
And
works
who's the boss man
so
of the
well.
Attitude Era?
The boss man.
That's right.
Every single thing about the Attitude Era works so well, except for Ken Shamrock. Everyone else is so good.
I disagree. Ken Shamrock.
Who is bad? Who is bad in the upper mix of
I wouldn't say Ken Shamrock's that bad. Ken Shamrock's in there with Test, where you're kind of like,
getting in the zone?
we remember them being kind of meh, and then you look back and you're like, this is awesome.
No,
give-
Test is
Give me the grade, Test.
Ooh, Test me.
Test me.
A fucking
I'm
scrote hole.
positive.
I'm positive I fucking want to get fucked up my ass
By Test.
by Test.
Yeah.
Good thing we cleared that up.
Yeah, as long as we're both on the same page. Like, I know the show's ending, so we need to get some stuff straight.
Who
And
we
the first
fuck-
thing I want to get is both of us want to have sex with Andrew Test Martin when he was portraying the gimmick of a
Leather
motley-
pants, yeah.
the leather. Of course, the leather pants.
No.
I don't want the TNA shorts.
Yeah, I don't want the
roided
shorts.
Andrew Martin. He's full of
Oof.
rage.
Disgusting.
I want the hopeful Motley Crue bodyguard, baby.
Small balls, one slap against my taint. That's good because of the steroids.
Of course, I want large balls.
So, The Rock feuds with Ken Shamrock, and I mean, it's a showcase for The Rock because, and this is very important, he kind of has to handle all of the promos for this. So it's kind of the first time.
No, he doesn't have to. He has to handle all of the promos for this. The Ken Shamrock's main problem, although weirdly now his shoot interviews are enthralling, but he was terrible promo.
But that was before they were like,
I want to date my sister Dylan.
"Hey, Ryan Shamrock's my sister, even though she's my girlfriend, and we do like a role play. Don't worry, this will catch on in 20 years."
Yeah, don't
Where
worry.
she's
Frank
my
watches.
fucking stepsister.
Yeah.
And yeah.
What was your favorite part of the Ken Shamrock wrestling myth? Mine was that Jim Ross would often bring up as a youth he slept in cars.
I like that he was getting in the zone.
That's right. Boo, dude.
And then that meant that X-Pac said that meant that he was gonna beat off. That was part of the blackface.
I'm going to say this also is Ken Shamrock. Another thing that came out of the Attitude Era is two kids at my elementary school / high school would say, I'm like Ken Shamrock. Sometimes I snap. And one of them did it while we were playing volleyball. And I remember the gym teacher, Mr. Bifulci, threw a ball at him.
And the thing is,
Fuck off, Joel, I think is what he said.
so obviously we get, and this is King of the Ring here in 1998 and this shows like, I don't know who is a big Ken Shamrock fan in the back.
Me.
Was that a Vince thing or was
I think it was actually it was a bit of a Vince thing,
Seems
but
like a Jim Ross
it's
thing
a
where
Jim
like,
Ross
this
thing,
is an
I think.
actual fucking athlete.
And Jim Ross is not wrong in how they used Ken Shamrock kind of worked. I think actually Ken Shamrock's problem
They
as
should have
a-
just stole Taz. They should have just had him come out with the full lines then.
That's that I don't understand why they never. This is something that I never have understood, and why they're not doing it with Hook. Is just what made Taz was a 5'1" guy that they convinced the meanest wrestling fans ever that they were like,
But
this guy's cool.
The good thing about Taz did that they actually used his height to their advantage, where they would have all these fucking massive guys, and they do this in every action movie. I don't know why they don't do this in wrestling. Taz is a short, stocky dude, massive guys around him. If you're watching it for the first time, you think, "Oh, which one of these massive guys is coming out?" They part ways, and it's just this like stocky dude, and then you see his suplexes, and you're like, "Holy fuck!"
Let me tell you how you do it. And this is one of the most subtle things, but it is absolutely superb wrestling storytelling. And it's one of the best moments in ECW, which is Sabu and Rob Van Dam have cleared the ring after Tommy Dreamer Raven. Jerry Lawler and Jim Cornette are in the ring. They beat the fuck out of everybody. And all they do is do no.
Oh, and everyone scatters.
Survive. And no. They do something better, which is Rob Van Dam drops his chair. Sabu jumps out of the ring, and Bill Alfonso goes up to Jerry Lawler and goes, "No, we got to like now." And
Yeah.
Jerry Lawler looks confused and is like, what? And it's in the idea of he doesn't really know ECW, and Bill Alfonso basically pushes him out of the ring, and they run, and then Jerry Lawler like looks back and sees, and that's the last image, is they run through the crowd, and Taz walks to the ring, lights a t-shirt afire, and walks back to the ring. And that's stuff we need to get back to in wrestling, because all that is saying is, it's exactly that. This is intimidating, but it's also, it looks fucking cool. They don't use, they do so much stuff for generating clicks of like, they want to make every entrance surprising and stuff like that, but they do it the same way. The ECW stood out in the Attitude Era, even though at a certain point the WWE and ECW were doing the same thing. It's because ECW kind of had to use all of their problems as positives. Taz is 4'9". Okay, let's get him a stepladder and let's make him look scary. Sabu is on drugs. Okay, let's get him to fall into some stuff and let's film that.
He won't feel it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, it's one of those things where I think that could really be used now. And then looking back at WWF then, they're doing exactly that, which is exactly, they just let Steve Austin can't wrestle. His neck is broken. And they're like, hit these people with a car, win the belt. That we just need to keep you in the conversation.
The Taz thing, the Austin thing, they're both anticipation.
Yeah.
Like, it's like that. There's just no use of anticipation anymore. You have to, like, which I get it, because it's like, oh, this is actually going to be a really slow build. And then the TV station's like, TV's slowly dying. This is one of the last things people will watch. You better have fucking Roman Reigns on every fucking show. You know what I mean? Obviously now they don't. But anyway, so they just turned themselves into the Nation. And The Rock is really... It's so funny because they're going into the Attitude Era, but they soften the Nation so much.
Well, and a very interesting thing is they never really do a Nation breakup in that way, in that it's basically, it hits WrestleMania 14, and they're still feuding with DX, but it's like less so and less so and less so, and they're still feuding with DX in the summer, and you have Triple H gets the Intercontinental title from The Rock, and then I think that then The Rock is kicked out for losing. They do a thing, and then suddenly The Rock is a babyface in this way of... He had been such a charismatic heel. I remember people were like...
He was just too good.
He was too good, and people were excited to cheer for him. And they did the most amazing thing. And it's weird. Survivor Series Deadly Games is the reason Vince Russo does deserve some credit. That is the best version of Vince Russo booking ever. That pay-per-view is so fucking weirdly watchable. It lives up to sort of every expectation. It does a riff on the Montreal Screwjob perfectly, and we get... Rocky, The Rock, the corporate champ, the first and best heel of the Attitude Era, and the perfect encapsulation of how you do an arrogant, shitty, like 90s heel of that era with the terrible fucking shirts, the perfect opponents. Once he's won the title, is he's immediately in a program with Mick Foley,
and I think
Mick Foley shows the world how you fucking make a champion.
And I think that this is a thing that only really I've seen MJF lately, which is the Rock character works so much better as a heel, but he's such a good heel that everyone cheers him, and then he goes to become a babyface, but then it's like kind of lame and rinse and repeat. And that's really what happens.
That's exactly what happens, and you can see with the MJF character when this is being filmed is when William Regal is now, I think, managing MJF. I am very confused. In typical AEW fashion.
Teasing it. Whatever.
Welcome to AEW. We're going to do something, and it's going to take just long enough for you to stop caring.
So continue.
Did you care about that? I did. Well, you won't in a bit. But you get the corporate champ, and you get this amazing moment where Steve Austin, because of that injury, is still, like, it's again that thing of it's a year later, Steve Austin is still having to rest a lot because he is both the champion and also a man with no neck. And so they rest it. And they basically they're like, I know what to do. We'll make The Rock a motherfucker. And they put him with Mick Foley. And this is the seasoning on top of the fucking delicious. I don't know what to say, but that feud is for me what makes The Rock, because he's this vicious son of a bitch who's beating this like beloved wrestler. We get a Mick Foley title run out of it, which I don't think is nearly recognized enough as an amazing moment in the Attitude Era, because that is... There's so much stuff that WWE and that fans like now, like when Kofi Kingston give him the title, that comes out of the fact that they gave us a Mankind Mick Foley title run. People got so excited that Mick Foley was going to win the title that Tony Schiavone told them on Nitro, and like 800,000 people were like, oh, fuck yeah, I'll watch that, and went and watched it. And all of that is The Rock is this really amazing sort of moment of he's given all of these times to be different things. So when he finally sort of comes out the other side and leaves the corporation after this, he's The Rock that we now all know and love forever. You know what I mean? He loses his hair. They do that weird Hollywood Rock thing after, like, in the run up to WrestleMania 19. First time I ever saw an MP3 player on television. He was just holding it backstage. I just remember that was so lame. Remember when they used to put the weird hand strap on all, like,
Oh yeah. Yeah, the straps for your bicep, because fucking everybody's gonna know you're jacked and you have a phone.
yeah, bro, you gotta fucking go for a run and listen to your 3 songs.
But this was the subtle stuff they do is like, which I really like, is when he takes over the Nation of Domination. The Rock, they changed the name of the they changed the name of it from the Nation of Domination to the Nation. When Farouk did it, it was like, this is about a movement, and then when The Rock was,
It's about me, baby.
it's exactly, and then
Yeah.
that sets up
There we go.
The Rock going crazier and crazier and crazier, which obviously invents the Rock character where like he's just making fun of people, and since the Attitude Era at its core is just about being mean,
Yeah.
he becomes a face because like, oh, we made him a heel, but he's becoming a face. Like, yeah, because the whole thing is, if a girl's a bitch, you can fucking beat the shit out of her.
Another way to look at it is
That
the Trump
transfers to-
presidency
yeah.
is when America did their own Attitude Era.
Yeah, and that's the other thing about like The Rock. Honestly, is so funny as like a Democratic ticket is just like, oh yeah, he would just be like do a wrestling promo on whoever, call them like "you never ate pussy" or something. And
My
then
favorite
also
thing
be
is,
like,
do you
I
remember-
believe whatever you guys want me
Do
to.
you remember, and this was right before pandemic 2020, when people were like, well, I think Trump's going to win because the economy is good enough and America sucks. And I will never forget this. It was something like the New York Times did an op-ed on maybe Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson should run for president. And one of the comments underneath was, maybe the president should just be someone who knows what that job is. And I was like, it's not good when the New York Times is like, I think the guy who smells what I'm cooking should be the president. And then someone who didn't even give themselves a photo is like, or someone who's done
Or a politician.
or a politician.
Or someone who's run something.
Someone who knows actually, someone who's been a mayor, maybe someone who's maybe run a school board, not a guy who's
Not just a brand new roid head.
yeah, not a guy who divorced his wife but still makes sure she's his manager. I'm gonna say it. That creeps me the fuck out. As a divorced,
Why?
there's something up.
Oh, he just runs her shit.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things where I'm just like I feel like you had a loveless
You
marriage
don't
for
think
some
so?
time.
I feel like it's like child support. He's just like, here's a way more direct way to get child support.
But I think their daughter was like 19. Like they divorced weirdly late. Like, because I think he had his daughter before he got into
Well,
wrestling.
maybe he was just like, listen, I'm gonna cheat on you. Honestly, I've been cheating, but like it's about to go to a supernova.
Yeah, like
fucking...
we've been doing it. We've been going Paul Stanley level of cheating. We're moving into Gene Simmons.
So, The Rock, and I think this is interesting too.
Oh, here we go.
He changes his attire, and I know this is such a micro
Yes,
thing.
yes, no, go on, baby.
But he's the only guy I've ever seen wear a t-shirt in the ring, and it's like, this is fine. Because he's wearing the shirt because he gets,
he does so many roids, he's starting to get man boobs.
gyno. Yeah, he gets gyno surgery.
Yeah, so that's why he has to wear. That's why he wears a tracksuit for the I Quit match. But it looks great. By the way, I love that when it's like it's a no holds barred match. So they're not going to wear trunks and expose their skin.
Yeah,
they're going to
of
wear
course.
fighting clothes.
Yeah, like a fucking old oh my god, like old Southern wrestling where it's like, yeah, it's a bunkhouse stampede
Yeah.
on a pole in a dirt cage match, and you get to fuck a pig if you want to. Here's the thing, you want to.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? They're so soft.
Ooh, you leave it in. Try
But
and
it's
make
also,
a man
by the way, the
pig.
point. It also gives the ECW's attire a logic, as there's constantly people being thrown
Yeah.
at you. So why wouldn't you wear tracks, pants, and a t-shirt? What are you going to
Other
do?
than the major thing about ECW, which was hilarious, where it's like, there is no rules. You could literally bring a sword and kill someone. Oh, there's a rope break. If you don't break after the rope,
Yeah, but-
that's a real demerit.
Yeah, I mean, there's some rules.
He full stabbed him, and now he's dead. But his hand was on the rope, so he's suspended for 1 day.
Yeah. At the top of the ECW arena, Kimono Wanalemi is talking to her lawyer because
Oh,
I
no.
accidentally locked her up out there.
But she's holding onto a rope, so I
Yeah.
have to let her in.
Yeah, it's very weird, the things that my dad, a lawyer, made me sign.
But this is also like, so this is obviously, this is in, oh my god, what's the fucking Bret Hart Wrestling with Shadows.
Wrestling with Shadows, baby.
Wrestling with Shadows, which is like the '98 Royal Rumble is honestly at the same time an amazing.
No, this is it's not Wrestling with Shadows. It's the Mick Foley one. The wrestling
Beyond the Mat.
Beyond the Mat, pissing my ass.
This is in Beyond the Mat. He hits the Rock.
He's supposed
hits him
to
with a chair.
He's supposed to hit
him twice.
He's
or
no.
something.
There were 5 headshots throughout the match to get him. So there's a moment. The moment of the ending was supposed to be he hit him 5. He handcuffed him and hits him 5 times to get him to where he was with the camera position, head down, away, so they could put in it's I quit. The recording of. It took something like 17 shots to the head to get there because they were in the wrong position for the start of the end of that sequence.
But he kept turning back. So basically, Foley kept turning back, and The Rock thought the whole thing was he was supposed to. So he just fucking
Yeah, I didn't. It's
hit him so many. He hit him like 8 more times than he should have.
It's also weird is that like Mick Foley then goes after The Rock.
That original spot, that the idea to tell someone that was the original spot now is insane.
It is
To be
really
like,
insane.
We're
I'm-
gonna handcuff me and smoke me in the fucking head.
Can
You are
I
a
say-
NFL level athlete? Hit me as hard as you fucking can with a chair.
So apparently, the Mick Foley, and he's written about this in a book, was a bit pissed off about the whole thing.
Yes. Well, because his family was in the audience.
I
so they were
understand, but
crying.
go and say something to the guy. Like it's also that thing of
Yeah.
like, don't wait 3 years and write it in a book. Like, I'm sorry. Like, The Rock can be many things. I
No,
guarantee
he did say
if
it to him beyond the mat. He fucking starts.
I don't think he
he's pissed on
did
him
because I think in
immediately.
his book he kind
No,
of.
he
went-
gets in the back and he's fucking yelling at him.
All right, good. I thought I misremembered it then because I remember it was like years later and he was like throwing shade.
No, Mick Foley. Here's the thing about Mick Foley. We always think he's an avatar for us because he's like.
No, he's not an avatar for
No,
us.
he like fought Ric Flair in
Yeah.
the back. Like he will fight somebody. Like
Well,
this
you
is-
have to. Wrestling with
especially when he came up.
Here's the other thing that you've okay. This is the difference between comedy and wrestling. In comedy, at a certain point, you just have to go no, and then everyone fucking calms down. In wrestling, at a certain point, you have to punch Ric Flair in the face, and then everyone's
So
like,
it was
oh, he's
11
cool.
times instead of 5. And 5 shots. 5 shots obviously is already fucking insane.
Yeah, 5 shots is a real. How do I say this?
Now, if someone bumps their head, and this is actually how it should be, they stop the match, and like, because of fucking diseases.
Yeah.
But also in the UFC, like, they a guy blew his nose into a guy's his nose was filled with blood, and at the end of the fight, he knew he was losing, so he blew his nose into the guy's eyes. So it's so funny. It's like
I
some
want
sports
everyone
they
to
care
know.
so much, and then other sports it's like, yeah, I mean, he had a bloody dick, he got tested, he had HIV, that was his advantage in the fight,
The
and he
day
used it.
they finally do a giant expose on Dana White in the UFC.
Oh, buddy, Fight Island?
Pardon me. Like people, if you think FightfulSelect.com is able to unearth some fucked up shit about wrestling, when they turn their Woodward and Bernstein level investigative journalism on Dana White,
Oh fuck yeah!
who the fuck are Fightful Select, and how does any like they're like Fightful Select reporting that Triple H took 2 shits this morning? Like where
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
they got cameras? What the fuck's going on?
I think it's like probably I don't know. It's whoever can. Oh, I don't know, John. Are you familiar with this phrase? Control the narrative.
I've never heard of that phrase before, but let me tell you, Dylan. Since this podcast is wrapping up, have you thought about? Let me say something
Oh, do
crazy.
you want to start a right-wing wrestling
Not
organization?
just right wing, alt right.
Oh God.
Yeah, that's right. Richard Spencer in the ring versus decency.
When's that going to be done? You think?
What? Control your narrative?
No, just right-wing things, or no, like alt-right things.
Oh, all right's done now. It's now
Oh,
just,
now it's just the right.
it's just the right. Yeah,
That's good stuff.
yeah, baby.
All right. So did you know this? Did you know The Rock apparently won the title
What? When? Now?
multiple times?
Name one time he won the title.
I can't.
Even though we just talked about how much I love Survivor Series '98, watched it at Liam Kendall's house. We got
Really?
It was. I remember it was the first time I ever ate dinner at 9 p.m. and I was like, "This is fucking
dancing with the devil tonight.
bro. We are living."
So that's
Yo,
also
we can just go in the fridge and get whatever root beer we want. You got Barks and Mug. Who fucking lives here?
that's crazy.
Who fucking lives here?
Halftime heat happens.
Oh.
I forgot all about halftime heat.
I could never forget about halftime heat.
That's so. There's so many great ideas they have that they just fucking blender.
My
during
favorite part of halftime heat. Rock poses for no crowd. That man's a showman.
That's so funny.
Halftime heat. Mankind Rock Flew. Here's the thing with Mick Foley kind of doing a podcast and hanging out. Here's what no one remembers. Mick Foley is like the fucking. He's the Ron Gronkowski of the Attitude Era. Essential, but never really thought
Always
of as
injured.
essential. Always injured.
Always
injured. Always
And that's the other thing
rude
about
to women.
Mick Foley is like the guy really only has like 4 years in WWE as a wrestler.
But what a 4-year run.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he wrestles after that, the Orton matches and all this, but like,
The
yeah.
TNA run.
But he just fucking kills his fucking body. All these guys.
Because here's what it is.
Those
This
the-
is the
the three guys who I guess 4. You say Triple H is 4, but like the three, I'd say main people.
I actually can relate this to stand-up comedy and Mick Foley, and this is something that is close to you and I both are in weird parts of our show business careers where we're actually able to earn a pretty decent living. We got to hustle for it, but like we're always on the watch out of like, oh, can I make some serious money? All right, here's what we got to do. Let's do it. Mick Foley was like, he got to the WWE, and I guarantee a doctor was like, "Hi, come here. Your spine will be gone in 5 years."
You're dead now.
Yeah, like
You're haunted.
I have filled out your death certificate. I'm just leaving the date. I have the way. And he was like, understood. And he just went out and earned money for his kids. And then like, and say what you want, but like here are the following people that are not as big as wrestlers as they are now without Mick Foley. The Rock, Triple H, Randy Orton, The Undertaker. Like Mick Foley fucking is the reason those guys got where they are the way we know
course.
them. The Rock in particular. Whatever you want to say about that Royal Rumble match, it was so fucked up to watch. Like, do you remember watching? I remember being like, holy shit.
I didn't watch it live.
I did watch it
obviously,
live.
but like,
This was an era where so many of my friends' parents got divorced that I had like 2 years free wrestling pay-per-views.
yeah, just fucking give him whatever he wants. I just need to think.
Yeah, I just want to hate that bitch.
So, The Rock leaves the corporation. He starts feuding, and this is really when you get like, and this is gonna sound weird, but looking back on it, functionally, it makes sense that the McMahon family would be so involved in the storylines because they're having such a difficult time finding characters that the audience hates. Because The Rock is basically a face. Obviously, Austin's a face. You can't really make people hate Mankind. The only one they really have left is Triple H because Shamrock goes back to the UFC. Like,
That's really true. And I have a question about Shamrock and leaving and all that sort of time. Has it ever been explained why he left the WWF and then gave a bunch
he
of
wanted to fight.
gave a bunch of interviews in those weird blue glasses?
Because he wanted to fight. He wanted to fight again. He didn't.
But why
like
did he
doing
buy
wrestling.
those glasses? That's what I can't. No one can.
Because that's his fucking non-wrestling glasses.
So that's how he lets everyone know.
Yeah, and also and this is also when you get the Ken Shamrock promo of when he says to Tito Ortiz, "I am going to beat you into a living death." That's the UFC thing.
This was
and
the-
then Tito Ortiz laughs super hard.
This was the Ultimate Fighter, weird Tito Ortiz, Ken Shamrock, where I think that the producers made the mistake that season of like, we better create some drama, and then they were like, oh my God, Tito Ortiz just went and got a broadsword. Oh, okay, we need to go calm this down. Yeah.
No, that was a really funny thing because
we just gave coffee to meth ads.
Tito Ortiz was great during that time. He would call into wrestling shows and be like, "Fuck, I'm gonna beat up your boy Ken Shamrock." Like we were all friends with him. I don't know because he's also like
this was, by the way,
right-wing,
this was,
it's
by
great.
the way,
he was
my-
a QAnon guy. Yeah,
Oh, yeah. I got to
Huntington
tell
Beach, baby. Okay,
Pardon
go
me?
for it.
Yeah.
He was the mayor of Huntington Beach, and then they had a vote, and they were like, "This guy's actually wow. Sorry, we got this one wrong." And then he had to fucking give
Oh,
up.
I remember. Bro, I live in California. Huntington Beach is, and I've done a lot of gigs there. Let me say this about Huntington Beach. Huntington Beach is not Irvine, California, which is when I get off the train. And a guy clearly had installed a flagpole in his front lawn to fly the biggest Q flag I've ever seen in my entire life.
God. Here's what I do not get about the Q flag is if you think it's like a giant conspiracy and these guys can literally have sex with kids, why would you have a flag? Wouldn't they just kill you?
Well, seeing as I live in America and I actually have to speak to people because it's about 1 million to 2 million people believe in Q,
That's sick.
I can tell you because I had a long conversation with a comedian who definitely believes in QAnon, but I'm not going to say who it is because I don't want to get into all that.
Okay.
Which is Q knows who his followers are, and he protects us because he's inside the government. He's got Q clearance.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's why. That's why they're able to do it, and it's a nightmare. Hey, I know you're all thinking, what happened to Jim Brewer? Do not Google it. Do not do it.
Oh, Jim Brewer's gone.
He is podcast. This is how you know it's a bad It's a podcast that's about to get into a type of politics that's intense. If you just
He has a podcast?
Of
course he has a podcast.
Welcome to the Brewiverse.
The Brewiverse.
The Brewiverse, baby. His guests are just his fans.
That's fucking sick. That's fucking sick.
You pay enough on Patreon, you can be a guest.
That's a fucking
it's a great idea.
amazing grift.
But here's the best part. Do you
Okay.
want to know what his setup is?
No.
He's got a full producer in like another studio, and he's just like how we record on StreamYard on his phone. One at a time, he's like, "Let me get set up." And he takes a bite of a muffin, a sip of coffee, and he's like this. Oh,
they can't even see you, by the way, because I had to tilt it up because we're so fucking jacked and tall.
we're so fucking hot.
So I think this is the greatest team in the history of wrestling, which is the Rock and Sock Connection.
It's absolutely the best team in the history of wrestling, and also it's the
They're
best.
literally
It's also,
responsible
again,
for wrestling's high point.
They are responsible for the highest rated moment in the Monday Night Wars or in Raw history.
The highest rated moment in
Oh, here we go. What is it?
it's like honestly
Sable
it's like
walking
fuck.
to the ring.
No, it's Undertaker versus like The Rock in some like throwaway Raw you would never even think of. But it's just everything was like it was like for the title.
Yeah, and everyone's like, "Why not?" Okay, interesting. But I know it's one. Like it was huge.
Yeah, it was huge. And also this is like
Is it like an 8 share? Like it's something like 8% of America watched it or something?
8.4
Yo, my
8.4
God.
Nielsen rating, one of the highest ever. And this also
I knew what the fucking rating was. I had to sit and remember my bank pin code, and I pulled the Nielsen rating of The Rock. This is your life.
I know. What was that? But this is also very indicative of everything, I guess, with art, which is this happens. It's great. It's 10 minutes long, and it leads to
40
literally
minutes.
The worst segments in the history of wrestling.
Katie Vick, you can draw a fucking line.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Right there.
Because this is what Vince Russo wanted, and this is what Vince McMahon wants. Vince McMahon wants to basically feel like he wants like an action TV show.
But the thing to remember is whose idea was this segment?
Me.
It was Mick Foley's. So it was Mick Foley is Mick Foley. You know what Mick Foley is? He's a man who's going to keep a job, and he's like, what is? Because also I think Vince Russo's gone. I think Vince Russo's in WCW now.
Oh, and by the way, this is his actual high school girlfriend and actual football coach. So when he says like something about pie and yells at her, that's like real stuff. He's like really angry at
Yeah,
her.
he is really angry at that football coach, and because the subtle thing is, why don't you let me fuck your wife, bro?
Why can't you fucking let me fuck you still? What,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
bitch?
And also, is this the debut? This is not the debut of Yurple the Clown. Yurple the Clown debuts at the hospital when Mankind is. Yeah, I'm going to say
The
this again.
original Sami Zayn, yeah.
Do you want to know who? Do you want to know why all those pre-tape segments work? This is what I'm dawning on. All the good ones. It's Mick Foley. Here are the good pre-tapes on Raw that have worked. When Mick Foley was the commissioner and you went to his weird office and he would hang on the gavel. Oh, it was fucking great. And as a result of that, we had Teddy Long putting people in tag team matches for over 10 years. And then before that, yeah, Mick Foley is responsible for all good things, and then the fact of no one went, now, Vince, the key to this working was we had Mick, who's a charismatic performer, and he went, you know what the key to this was? I wasn't in it. That's why those were bad. And you're like, I think he's deaf in a way where he chooses.
Yeah, well, and obviously the Rock and Sock Connection is just classic fucking funny straight man, funny man. Easy.
Yeah. Yeah, just a goof in a wig, and then it turns out
The
that
guy who tried to kill him in front of his
also
son.
best reason for a tag team that and his daughter
Oh yeah.
and his wife. Best reason for a tag team to break up. You didn't read my book, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, man. Just that's when
Heartbreaking too. And then the even more amazing part, he did read it, and it was that bitch Al Snow. This is when wrestling ruled.
And that's the classic thing of like The Rock being a baby face was he would do one nice thing every 6 weeks.
Yeah,
It was like,
and it wasn't that nice.
Do you remember when he said there was like a security guard, like an old lady security guard, and he was like, "Why don't you shove a fucking shove something up your ass?" But then he decides not to say it to her, and then like he's like, "Oh, he is changing."
Someone pointed this out, which is in the logic of the WWE. The Rock came back when another company was invading the WWF, and how he told everyone he's on the WWF side is he rock bottomed Vince McMahon.
That's fucking crazy. he starts feuding with Triple H because Austin is starting to break down at this point. And this is the thing I don't think anyone can really appreciate.
So, yeah,
about
this is when the Attitude Era would actually say gets pretty stupid. This is the Raw.
Well,
this,
year 2000 is when they have their best writing because it's like The Rock's out doing Scorpion King, and
That's correct.
Austin is out because he's like just been living and wrestling with a broken neck for a million years.
yeah.
They have to rely on Triple H. They don't skip a beat because the
Mick
writing
Foley,
becomes so solid.
and also who helps Triple H be
Yeah,
the
of
champion?
course, Mick
Mick
Foley.
Foley. Get me Mick Foley. Let's get him to.
Let's figure it all
Let's
out.
get the shit beaten out of him. The Rock is filming Scorpion King with Adebisi from Oz somewhere.
Rikishi hits him with a car. Rikishi ends. He ends, not ends, but he caps Rikishi and Billy Gunn's career during this point.
Yeah, he quietly does a Triple H 2004 and 2000 with Rikishi, and basically, if your buttocks is part of your gimmick, stay the fuck away from The Rock.
Well, it's also like your gimmick. You're trying to make a guy. It's their fault because like they're trying to make his gimmick that he's serious, but he's like wearing a thong.
Well, this was the point.
And then he ends his career with "Shut your damn mouth, you thong wearing fatty."
Well, this is the point.
Which is like still calling someone a fatty is
Well,
good.
this was the point that my friend Ross made when I explained this to him at the time of why it was so stupid. And he was like, "I'll tell you right now, I'd watch a match if Rikishi just gave The Rock a stink face for a super long time, and then their match was you touched your ass to my face, and that was bad." I was like, "Yeah, why the fuck didn't they ever do that?" And why it was The Rock was like,
Rock was the face.
"He's not touching my," but make him the heel is the idea of Rikishi's the
You
bad
can't
guy.
be like Rikishi ran over Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's the face now.
No, I'm agreeing with you, but you
Yeah.
make Rikishi as the bad guy still stink face The Rock.
Yeah.
As a way for them to have a match.
Stink face.
Because the whole point was we need to do something else with Rikishi. He's so over. Like that's the other thing is what it was, and it's like, but the weird thing about the WWF is they're like, he's really over. We don't want to lose the dancing though.
He has a Iron Man match with Triple H.
Best Iron Man match in the history of the
You
Fed.
think so?
It is
I like when there's a lot of falls, not just like
so
one.
many falls. There's 5 falls.
There was 6 to 5. Yeah.
It is awesome. And you got, by the way, you want to see AAA or you want to see HBK on that COC? That's short for cocaine.
Oh, I thought you meant cock.
No.
He's
well,
high on getting railed.
he certainly is, wouldn't you be? Yeah, he's
How
high.
crazy would it be if you found out he did not do cocaine? He just got fucking done in the butt a bunch, and then it made him crazy, and that's why his eyes like that because he had such a good time. His eyes rolled back in the head so much, and now he's convinced himself with
I gotta tell you,
Christianity it's
every
bad.
time anyone brings up Shawn Michaels' eye, all I think is, man, I need to call Brendan Burns. Brendan Burns was so obsessed with Shawn Michaels' eye. Like,
Dude, you know what made me obsessed was when in Christian DX, when Sean still had the long hair, and they would literally edit. They would post photos on WWE.com, and then they would take the photo down of Sean and re-edit them and fill in his bald spot. It was crazy.
yeah, that guy's so. Shawn Michaels is top 3 people you don't want to be on an airplane with because he's going to be fucking rude to a screaming kid. Hey! Some people are trying to read a fucking hunting magazine.
Hey, some people are trying to read the latest Q drop.
Yeah, excuse me. First of all, Dylan, there hasn't been a Q drop in over 2 years. You
Yeah,
there was
has.
one. There was one.
It was still thinking about you.
Yeah,
Current
XOXO.
listening.
Yeah, Gossip Girl XOXO. It was very weird.
Gossip guy.
Imagine if Q turned out also be Gossip Girl.
Ooh.
I've been throwing that conspiracy around for years.
Why don't we have Gossip Girl flags on our lawn?
Wait a
I
minute.
believe in Gossip
Excuse
Girl.
me. You do not have a Gossip Girl flag on your lawn.
I do now.
You just have in your backyard. You just have 4 Canadian flags. One of my favorite things about your house.
So The Rock,
Just in case you get drunk and confused what country you're in.
The
It's
Rock,
Canada. definitely Canada.
everything about the Attitude Era is super defined to me because it's like 97, 98, you're thinking Austin, and then 98, 2000, you're thinking The Rock. But The Rock really hits his stride in 2000 and 2001, and that's why that WrestleMania is supposed to be the best of all time. WrestleMania 17 is so bittersweet, and I never would watch it again because the symbolism is like, oh, things are going to be bad immediately after this.
Yeah.
Everyone they get. Every single character in 2000 is firing on all cylinders. They're all amazing.
Oh, yeah,
It's
baby.
a perfect wrestling show where it's like funny and serious at the exact same time. It takes itself as serious as you should. I just looking over this stuff, it's like I forgot totally. This is the rise of Kurt Angle.
This is the
Edge
rise
and
of Chris Christian. This is the rise of Chris Jericho.
The tag division, Hardy Boys.
Oh my God, yeah.
Dudleys. They get the Radicals in, obviously. Eddie, they immediately. This is the crazy part. They immediately push Jericho. Jericho's supposed to be like the dude, which is like I get why they push Jericho because like even though if they don't really like him, it's like the whole thing of like the way Cody Rhodes is being pushed now. It's like okay, well you need people in WCW to see that if they come over here, they will immediately be pushed.
Yeah, completely. I actually do think that there's a bit of a. I think that Chris Jericho in that moment was a bit. He was actually a bit of a disservice because he was also away from the NWO. He was sort of his own thing.
Well, he
and
also,
they
his
didn't let
character
him
was
be
a super mid card.
shitty heel, and all,
Yeah.
and they let him get back to that very quickly at the Fed. But the reason why they started is they put him with all their really best talkers, and then they were like, "What the fuck." And it's like, no, you need to keep him away from them for a bit. You need to have him come out and annoy the shit out of some people that can't talk so that then the fans think he's in their league. You know what I mean? Because it's that thing of...
Well, and also I mean, if you've read Jericho's book, it's like he didn't wrestle WWE style, and Vince thought he was a terrible wrestler because he'd been wrestling cruiserweights. He had to change his finishing move because he was doing the Lion Tamer, and he can't do that to
Yeah.
taller opponents, that type of stuff.
Although he weirdly didn't change it. He just turned the finisher into the Boston Crab.
Yeah, it became the Boston Crab, exactly. But for like the only time it was actually the Lion Tamer, which was like an awesome fucking move, was against X-Pac, which was a fucking...
Is it haunted?
That is probably... No, here's the fun thing about the garage is the cat sometimes goes on the roof. And then you hear my cat walking around on the roof. Anyway,
Utterly terrifying.
they get the Big Show, which is crazy. How, like, they have everything firing on all cylinders except for this big signing they think is going to be transformative, and then immediately The Rock's like, you're fat and you're a loser, and then everyone high fives, Big Show cries.
Yeah, Big Show cried a lot. It was really weird. It was also the weirdest way to...
You cry. That's your fucking.
It was the weirdest way to
character,
debut
fat ass.
SmackDown. And coming up on Thursday on UPN, this fully grown man cries.
Bathtub full of cum match. Whoever wins gets the cum.
Dylan, I'm going to say this right now. We've been speaking for 90 minutes about The Rock. I think it's time to take a 5-minute pee break because I have to pee.
Okay, cool. I'll pee too.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to come after the break. When we come back after the break, we're going to talk about The Rock's weird
This will
heel
be
turn.
episode 1, The
no,
Rock.
it will not. We're doing this all as one episode.
No, I'm
Do not
stopping
listen
it.
to Dylan. Fuck you.
Like, this is not a hobby. This is... That's insane.
Check. You hit record? All right.
Welcome to the
part
Wrestler
two,
Review
Part 2. Still one episode. That's still one episode. We're releasing this all as one
This
episode.
is not going to be... This is...
It's
part
one-
2 is going to
no,
be
one episode,
shorter.
same episode. It's going to be shorter because I have to go to have a Zoom meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So it's The Rock. It's 2000. Scorpion Kings comes out. He is in a movie where he plays someone who is homosexual. Vince McMahon has never stopped being angry
You're
about
skipping
that.
way ahead.
Am I?
Yeah, Be Cool comes out in 2005.
Oh, I thought Be Cool was the follow-up to Scorpion King. I thought it was in the trilogy.
Yeah, Be Cool. There's Be
Scorpion
Cool,
King.
and then there's the Scorpion
Scorpion
King.
King 2, Be Cool.
Scorpion King, cool guys. But yes,
Be Cool, by the way, tremendously bad movie.
is it?
Violently
I heard it was
bad.
good.
From a liar.
I heard from a guy who tells the truth.
Who is it?
But The Rock, I think,
Who are you?
yeah, kind of because this. Here's the other thing about The Rock is that as a babyface, people forget this during this period. He was lame. People fucking hated him when he went super babyface. That's why he turned.
When did he go super babyface? That's the thing that my wrestling watching is spotty. So we got Scorpion King. So we go WrestleMania 17. We're gunning towards 18. Hogan shows up.
WrestleMania 17 is the major mistake because it's like there was always people who didn't like The Rock, but did like Stone
Stone
Cold
Cold.
because The Rock could be annoying.
Yeah.
Like Stone Cold's just catchphrases, everything about him was like a lot of things, but never annoying.
Yeah.
And The Rock could be annoying just because obviously he started as a heel and you maintained some of that heel character.
Look at me in my face. Do you know where I put my jacket?
I don't.
Great. But I completely agree with what you're
And then
saying.
they're like, okay, Rock's the
Yeah,
face,
I see what
Austin's
you're
the
saying,
heel.
yo.
And it's like, no, you can't do
But
that.
it also didn't work because they also didn't have The Rock and Austin really touch because you had the two-man power trip. It was weird. Wrestling in that post fallout of Austin going heel was so
Because it's like people forget how Austin
bad.
exactly because Austin going heel is a bad decision, and then they follow that up with the worst angle in the history of professional wrestling, the Alliance angle.
Yeah, they follow it up. They go, and they almost save it by having Austin lead the WWE, and then they went, "This people will like
They
this
turned
too
him
much."
heel again.
Yeah,
That's the other thing. They turned him heel again. They could have just like called an audible and been like, nope, but they turned him heel again. Rock becomes the WCW champion for a minute. Skip by the Alliance because who gives a fucking shit about
well,
that?
he's also barely there.
Yeah, true.
Like he's not there for a bunch of it because the part of they do the whole. I just talked about it on part 1 of this 2-part, but still very much one episode, where he comes out and how you know he's with Vince McMahon is he attacks him, which is just so the logic of that. How do you know that's your friend? I beat him up.
Yeah, and it's the bloom is kind of off the rose. I don't know what writers specifically they lose and don't lose during this time.
I
but-
think what it is, they lost. There was one guy who came from television. Everyone else was wrestling fans that then learned to adapt. There was one guy who came from television and mapped out a whole year.
yes,
and
the
this is
2000
mo-
thing was the only time they had people who did. Oh my god, what do you call that?
planning.
Cohesiveness.
Yeah, they had. Yeah, there was
There's another word for
there was
it.
there was a linear story they were telling. That
They had all the characters on a whiteboard with, and this sounds so rudimentary when you're talking about anything on, but like they were like, here are the past interactions they've had with different wrestlers,
Yeah,
which sounds like obviously they had that, but they don't have that.
they don't have that.
But they did not have that in something. This guy's doing this. Why? I don't know. Shut up. Which
Fucking
is one of the promises of AEW
Luke-
that they now went back on.
Luke Gallows,
Yes, Festus.
Vince McMahon didn't know he was Festus
That's good.
and
Stuff.
had to stop people. People were like, we'll remind him, and he's like, well, no, you will not.
There's so many examples of Vince firing someone, forgetting he did it, and they come back, and he's like, "Why aren't you in the ring?" And they're like, "I am in the ring now." And then they just because that's what the whole thing was. I forget what era this is, but the whole thought was, "Hey, if you're gonna visit somebody in WWE, just bring your bag, leave it in your car, but bring your bag and your shit because he might get confused and think you still work there." And then he ran it for 10 more years. And only got it stopped because he embezzled.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there was the culture of sexual assaulting that led to the embezzlement.
Okay, well, let's not be a fucking loser. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, hello.
There you go.
Did
No
it
Way
stop
Out.
or
The
were
next,
we
I think the
canceled?
next bullet point is No Way Out, February 17th, 2002, in Toronto. Obviously, Hulk Hogan being the babyface because he is against,
The Rock.
a Polynesian man.
Yes, of course.
That's how
And
we
in
saw
Tor-
things
and in
in
Toronto, of course.
Exactly.
Was it No Way? No, No Way Out is when the NWA debuts, but we're talking about WrestleMania 8 is when The Rock and Hogan.
Not 8. 18.
18 is in Toronto,
Yes.
and they boo Rock because he's not as white as Hulk Hogan.
But this is the first time where they've seen Hulk Hogan, and this was the challenge of the NWO. This is the first time Hulk Hogan's playing WWF arenas in fucking how long? 10 years?
No.
Was this 2003 or 2004?
It's 2002.
This is supposed to be well researched, and Hobson didn't do this one. We're
Yeah,
just talking.
you can really tell.
But it's more
2002. It's
engaging
9 years.
because we're not just reading shit.
It's 9 years about, and it's crazy. It's also the least best kept secret ever, which is we can't believe the Hogan was cheered in the town that always loves Hogan.
But yeah, and it's that was the thing about the NWO. Do you bring them in as just Hulk Hogan because people are going to cheer him, or do you bring him in as the NWO?
Don't bring him in. Don't bring him in as the end. The thing I never understood
Yeah.
about the NWO is you fucked the invasion. The invasion is fucked up. You fucked it up, and then are bringing all of the guys back that would have made the invasion awesome immediately after. And why do it this way? Just bring him out as call him Hollywood Hogan. He doesn't need to be in the NWO because also
Booker T, Goldberg, Diamond Dallas Page, and the NWO are enough. Obviously, you want Luger and Sting.
No, I don't
And
need fucking
Flair.
Luger. Also, but I'm sorry, Luger to me is always a WWF guy first. The other problem with the invasion is they got a bunch. They're like the logic of Austin being on the WCW side sort of holds because it's in my head he's well, he was there first,
Yeah.
but no.
But it's big shit. The NWO is big shit because it's fucking. You get that interaction with The Rock making fun of all of them.
Yeah,
And then you get the Rock Hogan match, which isn't as big as. And this is another thing. It's the match everyone wanted was Hogan versus Austin, but it's you didn't get Austin Goldberg, you didn't get Hogan Austin because Hogan obviously he's still politicking, and he gets a fucking world title run out of this. And this
And
is
also
said
because,
by
but what's
someone-
also interesting is Austin also is different. Austin came through the fucking hard knock ranks of wrestling,
yeah.
got to his spot, and they're like, "Now you're gonna lose to Hulk," and he, hell no, I'm not gonna fucking do that, brother.
Yeah.
It's also that sort of thing of like, no, oh, you mean the guy that got me fired from the other company? To quote Kevin Nash when Bill Watts worked here, I'm now bigger than you, go fuck yourself. Like, it's one of those things where that's the other thing that Vince McMahon's problem is. The Rock is like, I'll work with Hogan, I don't care. And Austin's like, fuck you. No, I'm not working with that fucking guy. Like, because Austin also knew what was going to happen, which is Hogan's going to get cheered more than me. No, thank you.
You think so?
I think that was a part of it. Is he went, listen, like, it's also, I kind of agree with him, which is going, what's the purpose of this? It's exciting that we're going to touch, but like, The Rock and Hogan is the better match because The Rock is a more Austin's
Yeah.
hugely limited by this point. Like, Austin is essentially just
That's true.
he's got so many knee braces.
And obviously, no one wants to face Goldberg.
Yeah, he's
Because
like
he's already has caused Bret Hart a stroke by this point.
Yeah, he's like-
Austin's got a neck of dimes.
like Austin's literally just a couple of socks filled with pieces of onions. He's like, no, I'm
yeah,
not
if he
getting
eats a sandwich that's got like 2 layers, he's fucked.
Yeah, an airplane landed too harshly, and I'm now injured.
But obviously, they have that match, and this is very important because Hogan tries to like control the narrative.
What?
And no, he just tries to like do the thing he did to the Ultimate Warrior, the exact same building, which is he tries to make the story about how Hulk Hogan's going to deal with this loss, and then The Rock just basically takes it from him. Like Hogan's going to do the poses and stuff, but The Rock is like does this thing where it's like he's very much like, I'm the big brother, I'm allowing you to do these poses type thing, which is such a small but
It is
fine
a
thing.
really good sort of move. It's also like they immediately adopt it, all that sort of stuff. Then this slowly builds to The Rock becoming the Hollywood star angle. They have the weird rehash of the Montreal Screwjob involving The Rock and Hogan. Again, like it gets really weird. This is post WrestleMania 18 to WrestleMania 19 is a true dark age of wrestling. Like no one was there when Rey Mysterio
It is true.
debuted. He just sort of appeared.
He becomes the Hollywood Rock, which I think is like all the Hollywood characters are really looking up at Hollywood Rock for like he really has kind of lost his edge because do you remember this is like the Parent Teacher Council and all these people have done kind of damage to WWF in a way like they can't just come on TV and then just hit a woman with a mallet
It's
anymore.
also decidedly a publicly traded company is the other thing that no one
Yes.
remembers is it's now IPO'd.
beholden to people.
It's
yes.
beholden to people. As it turns out, not as beholden as we thought, but still beholden to people. Like,
Yeah.
comes back, WrestleMania 19, the unsung greatest WrestleMania.
Yes. I mean, here's the thing. Hollywood Rock, like, he becomes such a piece of shit. Like, at one point he says, like, Lillian Garcia has a stinky pussy at one point, and then
Yeah, but he
Lillian
also-
Garcia's like, why are you saying this about me?
But he also used to say that all the time when he was a face. Like, how he got over as a face was like, you like to suck dick and have people lick your pussy, Lillian?
Yeah, he did.
Sidebar.
That's
Has anyone
sick.
listened to Lillian Garcia's podcast? She cries at least once an episode.
I like
and-
it. They really get to the bottom of things.
Do they? A lot of Stan Lane episodes.
Stan Lanes?
No, there isn't a Lillian Garcia Stan Lane episode. Imagine
Lillian Garcia and
I
the
dig-
Honky Tonk
Can I
Man.
take it out? No.
Okay.
Blood's already out. I'm standing up. I'm standing up, Lil.
It's been out since I started because I was sitting
Wrestling.
down. I gotta rest my dick on my balls. That's how I fucking live my life. So, Austin won the first 2 WrestleMania matches. Rock wins the last one. It's Austin's last match. Leave it all on the floor. Do a lot of fun stuff.
Say sorry. It is not his last match. His last match was against Kevin
Oh, yes.
Owens.
Yes, okay, but it's his last match.
I'm going to call it's his last match because he's the only wrestler of this time or any other time that really resisted.
Yeah,
Ric Flair has had more last matches than Steve Austin. That's insane.
but at this point, have you seen the documentary on this, where it's like Austin, like after the match, is
Of
like
course I-
shivering and
I mean, where he was so fucking worried about his body, he was just taking Red Bull and coffee and working out manically.
yeah,
And then ended up in the fucking hospital with a near heart attack.
yeah.
Yeah, it's so insane.
It's fucking crazy.
The man has no neck and he's trying to blow up his heart to fake fight a Polynesian. Like, what the fuck is going on?
This is very important, though. The Rock wins, comes back, jobs to Goldberg immediately.
Amazing.
Starts out Goldberg in a great way. They immediately fuck that up because the next thing
So
is
well.
he has to fucking fight Triple H, who by this time is so juicy that he makes Goldberg look small.
Yeah, oh my God. Triple H, the juice is loose.
And Rock films Walking Tall, which is okay. And this is also like,
Johnny Knoxville's best movie, in my opinion.
really?
That's right. Better
Okay.
than any of the jackasses. Really showed some depth.
He the thing about Walking Tall is it really establishes like The Rock as like a PG-13 action hero,
Yeah,
which I think
exactly.
is super important.
Hey, are you 11? This guy could be your dad.
Exactly, which is crazy because wrestling, his thing is, do you eat pussy because I want to fuck you there? And then he comes into any action movie and he's like, hey, gang,
No
I'm
swearing.
just looking to get everyone back in school and reading.
Yeah. Hey, I know that explosion was loud, but you know what else is loud? The silence when you don't know how to read. So he's in movies for a while. He's in Be Cool. They have a fallout. Him and Vince McMahon have some
This
sort
is
of
important.
weird...
You mentioned this on the podcast, but you do need to delve into it. So what happens with Be Cool?
Be Cool is he is playing a gay character, and Vince McMahon is afraid that people won't believe he's a tough wrestler if he pretends to be gay in a movie starring John Travolta.
Yes, and here's the other thing about him is that The Rock just keeps on working. And this we should have talked about this, but a transformative thing is that he has to go on this press tour for the Scorpion King. He does Saturday Night Live. So the main, apparently the real jump off point for his acting career, was when they had WWE was so big, they had everyone on Saturday Night Live. The Rock hosted, and it just turned out The Rock was just like a super good
Sketch actor, yeah.
and also just like super genuine and a good public speaker. Like,
Yeah,
once
like it-
again, he just was Rocky Maivia and not The Rock.
Yeah,
and then
he's-
when he needed to be, he was The Rock.
He's a relatable man. Oh, my God.
He
And-
has a nice smile.
And it also was the beginning of people realizing that wrestling had an audience. This is the other thing that's not really discussed is unless you were Dick Ebersol, no one in mass media thought you had an audience. And this is also in the run-up to the XFL, which is when everyone stopped listening to Vince McMahon. But Vince McMahon, for a moment, was considered the kingmaker because
Yes.
you have to understand the ratings that wrestling is getting on cable is dwarfing everything else. And then Vince McMahon is getting the bigger of those two ratings. And on one side, it's Ted Turner, so they can go, okay, well, it's Ted Turner's system is helping WCW. This is a guy who just called me from the toilet, and he's got 8% of America watching his TV show.
I do need to say this: the major switch in The Rock's acting career is that for when he starts it, I don't know what he's doing workout wise, but he's like really lean. In wrestling, towards him in wrestling when he was Hollywood Rock, he was really lean and really trying to keep some hair on top. And it's kind of like a, hey, I hope that, I don't know, maybe he was going to get hair plugs, maybe he was going to go a different way. Here's how Hollywood leading men work. And then I don't know who talks to him. I don't know what they do, but they're basically like, you need to double down and become more juicy. And that's when we get The Rock as one of the last actors, and no, I don't think anyone thinks about this. One of the last actors who can put him on a movie, and the movie will actually.
Yes, it's also to the point that he's basically this is my weird theory also, because he's also saved Kevin Hart's acting career.
I think they saved each other.
I think it's more Rock saved Kevin Hart because The Rock will just do what like Sylvester Stallone and any of those other guys do, which is do foreign produced action movies till he's dead.
It's true.
But now he's become the family light entertainment action guy. He basically is Arnold Schwarzenegger, Robin Williams.
He's what Arnold Schwarzenegger wanted to do with Last Action Hero, but he's been doing it for going on 10 years now. Because the first real big hit
I would say
he
it's
has,
20 years is that fucking Christopher Walken, Sean William Scott movie, like The Takeaway or whatever it is, where Arnold Schwarzenegger's walking down the hill
Yeah,
and
The
he goes,
Runaway.
The Runaway, have fun.
They're making another one.
Are they really?
But no, because I'm saying his 10 years is his first major box office success was he played Luke Hobbs, the greatest character in movie history, as part of Fast Five.
That's right. And then you get and then it's the weird.
And then he goes right into the G.I. Joe movie, which G.I. Joe movie, at the time this was big, but they just didn't let reviewers see it because they were like, "You're not gonna fucking like this."
Yeah.
And he played Roadblock, and it was huge.
Here's the thing that's crazy about the G.I. Joe movies is neither one of them were good, but everyone's like, maybe they will be. And then everyone's like, this is not good.
What do you want from it?
Just to be better.
What do you want? Like a dark? And this is the other thing is like
No, I
a
do
dark
not.
exploration of the GI Joes.
No, you know what, Dylan? You know what
Yeah,
I
I want a GI Joe. Here's a GI Joe
No.
movie, but it's just Black Hawk Down. Nothing
Yeah.
happens, and they commit one war crime. That's what the GI Joe
Exactly
movie
right.
Snake Eyes fucking carves a guy out, and he admits to a
Yeah,
terrorist
I
attack
wanna
he
see-
didn't commit.
I want to
just 'cause
see
he wants
fucking
to get
Duke
stopped.
having to appear in the fucking docket at the Hague. What is your full name? It's just Duke. We're not doing this again.
So here, this is why The Rock and Kevin Hart saved each other, is because they're the only people that work as hard as each other. Because in 2013, The Rock's movies combined grossed 1.3 billion, and he created Ballers, which was a series that went on for 5 years. So this guy literally is doing a movie and then takes time off to
Do a TV
to
show.
do a TV
What
show.
I like to say this is The Rock remarried around this period and quickly realized, I hate this woman.
And the big thing that he does, which is he has a movie called Hercules. Hercules grosses a ton of money. Does anyone remember Hercules?
No.
No? Is there any reason to watch Hercules other than The Rock? No. That's huge. When they can just literally like, some guy took a shit. Can you stand next to it and we'll film it? Sick. It made 50 million. Sick.
Yeah, like he made
Not grossed, made.
they bring back Jumanji, which was
Yeah.
not a popular movie, and now we're just like it was
so
a huge
much better now, though.
Jumanji, the
The
original.
new Jumanji is so much better
I have not
than
seen the new
original.
Jumanji because I just haven't been on a plane and in the mood, but I know I will be, and I know I'll be like, this was awesome. This is the other thing with The
It's
Rock.
fantastic.
Is when you are just like, I just would like to watch something for 90 minutes, and it's like,
Exactly. That's
ladies
exactly
and gentlemen,
it.
please welcome. He's playing a man named Ralph. He's moved to a town with his daughter who is somewhat ethnically ambiguous because we're covering some bases. Turns out the owner of the mill's a real son of a bitch. Like,
Yeah, and
oh, and Idris Elba's the bad guy. You're like, what? This thing's got everything.
he's doing a bunch of movies
And then he returns.
that have sequels that you forgot he did the movie. It was also not The Runaways, The Rundown.
Sorry. And then he also returns.
Sorry for the big
thank
Rundown
you.
fans
This
who are
is the
listening
reason
to
why
this.
the fucking show is ending.
But
by the way, these sort of
this
mistakes.
and then I think his time off, he comes back and does the once in a lifetime
time
match
twice. That is once in a lifetime twice.
twice in a lifetime, and I think that might be his best feud because there's been this whole thing where John Cena clearly they used the Rock template with him. They used Austin with a lot of other people. There's a lot of other fake
Yep.
Austins out there, but they used
You're looking at two of them.
effectively used that template with The Rock. Sorry, John Cena, and The Rock comes back as basically Attitude Era Rock because he can do whatever the fuck he wants
It's great.
and punks John Cena, but John Cena gets him a couple times, like, points out that he has.
I'm gonna say it before
Notes
and I'll
on his
say it
hand.
again. It's also like we get the Miz beating John Cena because of this feud. Doesn't the Miz beat John Cena at WrestleMania?
No, Cena wins.
Does Cena beat Miz?
Yeah.
That makes way more sense.
No, but this is like.
But it's set up. The Rock does something to set up the match
Okay.
because they do a thing. It's the 3 WrestleMania storyline.
Mm-hmm.
It's Cena, Miz with The Rock hosting.
Mm-hmm.
Then something happens to set up the first match. We're like, this is only going to ever happen once. And they said it so many times, I remember thinking, this is happening again. And then it immediately happened again.
Oh, of course, because it was the next year. And then that was the other thing is that The Rock officially challenged John Cena for WrestleMania
title.
the next year.
Yeah.
So we already knew. And they were trying to do this "Can Cena do it" thing. But I'll redo. So here's the thing: is that Cena and the Miz were in a feud, and they needed the whole they're going to be in the ring together, and then you show the friction but not fight. So they have Cena and The Rock team against like Alex Riley and the Miz. And there's also you get the Rock versus CM Punk, where it's like immediately they get the title onto The Rock, which is hilarious.
This is the moment I think that broke CM Punk's mind, is that CM Punk couldn't...
That is so depressing, though. You've done all this shit for this much time, and then this guy comes in like, yeah, we're just going to throw the title on him. I think that
yes,
shit...
No. I actually get really frustrated when people do this and going, yeah, fuckface, here's the fucking difference, fucking Phil Brooks. You can put me and everyone, you can make, let's say, 500 grand in ticket sales. He's in the Fast and Furious franchise, and we're a media
Yeah.
company. Shut the fuck up. You're not Harley Race. You stink.
This is the crazy thing, though. The timing of when they get The Rock, it is 2011, so this is right after his first big hit in the Fast and Furious.
This
This
is
guy
the
goes
thing.
from like like it's basically like Ryan Reynolds' career arc, where Ryan Reynolds, they gave him so many fucking chances to become a movie star, and he just finally did with Deadpool. But they gave that guy so many. I like Ryan Reynolds. I think he's super watchable. Just exactly, he's like the White Rock, but like he's so fucking watchable. They give him so many chances, like over and over and over again. And The Rock is the same thing. They like,
Yeah.
This guy's the star of movies for like 6 years before he finally pops in, and he's not even the star of the movie. That's the other thing. Vin Diesel's the star of the Fast and Furious. Vin Diesel let him in and hates him, which is so fun. He must be pissed every day that he literally jumped this guy's
I
career.
guarantee Vin Diesel doesn't give a fuck. I guarantee Vin Diesel, because here's the thing with Vin Diesel, he's like Vin Diesel is probably a guy, like, he hates The Rock because he's like, The Rock's more famous than me, but I guarantee that Vin Diesel is also like, still pretty fucking sick though, man. I got fucking sucked off in a fucking Pontiac Predator yesterday, man.
Oh yeah.
Yo, you ever
buddy.
had anal sex in a PT Cruiser? Vin Diesel has? Both
I'm
kinds.
fat and I'm near a boat.
Yeah, I'm fat, but then I'm thin for those movies. That's what I also. How is Vin Diesel gonna die? Mid cleanse, pre or post Fast and Furious 29.
So The Rock appeared in Miami to celebrate his 39th birthday. Teams with Cena in a 5-on-5 match. This is all, of course, leading up to the WrestleMania, which was a great match.
The first one or the second one?
The first one.
Which one is the one where he's bald with a goatee?
That's the first one.
Yeah, he is good. That's the good one.
He obviously loses to Cena.
He looks like
pisses
Evil
off
Spud.
CM Punk. And the other thing is,
No, he loses to Cena in the second one. Cena loses the first one. Isn't that right?
yeah, Cena. That's why they have the second one.
Yeah, Cena loses the first one. Rock.
And then they do
loses-
that half-assed Cena thing where it's like the first match that he has back, because that was the thing, was everyone was wondering, is The Rock even going to be okay at wrestling still? And it turned out he's pretty much exactly the same.
Yeah, well, it's also his ring style is very good in that it's a lot of stand there, do a move to a person.
Yeah. But he's a lot more athletic than...
Yeah.
That's the other thing, is like he never really was like a great wrestler, but he was always... he would always try
Well,
super
he
hard.
also took really to the WWE style, which, to quote Jim Cornette, you don't learn anymore. You don't learn how to be a wrestler. You learn how to wrestle as your character. And luckily, he was like, he learned how to wrestle as The Rock, and that's an adaptable style. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The example being Mark Merrill wasn't able to become the Wild Thing. He just had to be Johnny B. Bad, the Wild Thing.
But he does, The Rock does do things at WrestleManias that really grind my gears and make my dicky sticky.
Go
But
ahead.
They make it extremely dry.
Okay.
Dicky sticky would mean I like it, because I nutted.
Oh, interesting.
He appears in 2016. Do you remember this? And he just beats up the entire Wyatt
of course,
family.
Of course I do. And he says he
Because
comes
they're
up with
like, the Wyatt family are supposed to be like, oh, super heels, and then he's really The Rock. Obviously, The Rock's dope, and they should have done what they did at the WrestleManias, because those are the biggest WrestleManias of all time, and that is the point of everything. Is
yeah.
but he really just fucks over all the main roster characters every single time he has an interaction with them. Even if
Yeah.
he doesn't beat them up, he calls them like a pussy, but like they can't say anything.
Hey, little
because
bitches.
if they go to the back, Vince McMahon will be like, "Why did you go off script?" But
Yeah.
he can just be like, "And I saw you eating grapes like a fucking poon back there," and everyone goes nuts. And
Yeah.
everyone's
Like, they did it.
and then Vince is like, "Your character doesn't eat grapes. If you reference the grapes, I'll
Jesus fucking
fucking."
Christ! I thought we were keto.
Her fucking keto.
You know he was in Impact Wrestling.
No.
He lost to Abyss. No, he just
What?
Did, he just
That's
did,
insulting. That's
he just
so
did a
insulting.
message for fucking Ken Shamrock being inducted into the Impact Wrestling Hall of Fame.
That's nice. He's a nice man.
And John,
I think he's going to have one more match in him. That's what I would predict. I think that Triple H will get him back for one more thing, potentially. But
I think he'll be back for one more match.
he's still not in the Hall of Fame. Is that correct?
I don't know.
They still have
This
that
is
card
something
to play.
that I should have looked up. But,
But that's the thing. You see, I don't think he's in the Hall of Fame, so they still have that card to play.
he was given an Icon Award for Mr. Olympia.
Yeah, that's just because he's famous, and they need to get someone to come to those fucking things.
He's won a lot of Teen Choice Awards. He was honored by the United States 1st Armored Division.
What?
He won a Generation Award at the MTV Movie and TV Awards. He's got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, but everybody does.
It's funny. So there's a lot of stories about working for the MTV Movie Awards in LA because apparently that's just like that used to be how you used to get. They wouldn't pay writers, so if you were a stand-up and wanted to get into writing, how you got into it was writing the MTV
I heard
Video
that.
Movie Awards.
I heard one of our friends moved into a house, and it was like a shitty comedian house in LA.
Yeah.
And there was just like a whole box of MTV Movie Awards because people just throw them out. Like celebrities win these stupid awards, and they just throw them out because obviously you would.
Oh yeah, the amount of Teen Choice Awards you can buy at a Value Village in Los Angeles. You know those surfboards?
That's amazing.
Like so many of them.
That's fucking awesome.
but, like,
why don't you have one?
I haven't seen them at a Valley, but people will have them in their homes. I'm like, did you win a Teen Choice Award? And they're like, no, I bought it for
That's so good.
$10.
Not the little popcorns.
No, you know those big surfboard?
I imagine it's like a junk removal business where you can just resell them. So I think it's done now. John, what's your favorite thing about The Rock?
the rock bottom.
I think it's a great.
It's
move,
an
too.
undersung, awesome finishing move that actually can be done to anyone because you do it to yourself. You just fucking kick your fucking legs up and we drop.
Yeah, I think.
And it looks great if you get elevation or not. Take that, Mark Henry.
I think the main thing about The Rock and the really thing that is indicative of his entire career is the people's elbow because it was a joke move to begin with.
And it spawned every big big face now has to have one of those moves.
Yeah, MVP had the elbow. John Cena had the five knuckle shuffle.
The
Road Dogg had the knees.
No, the Road Dogg was the five knuckle shuffle. Was
No.
it? Yeah.
no. Road Dogg did the shaky knee.
Yeah, but the shaky knee was just shake, rattle, and roll.
Shake,
Pardon me,
rattle, and
1,000
roll.
apologies. Jesus Christ.
He didn't have the one where it's about jacking off. John Cena had the one that was
I
jacking
thought that
off.
Road Dogg also had the one that was jacking off.
Because John Cena's move was the FU, and then he did the five knuckle shuffle, which was fuck you. First thing was I jacked off on you. Second thing was fuck you. And then they changed it to the attitude adjustment, but the five knuckle shuffle still remains. He's still fucking jacking off.
I just like that it became. It was still the STF forever,
It was the STFU.
and then
it
they
was the
changed the STF.
I
So
mean, that
shut the
makes-
fuck.
Step over face you. That's what it literally means because it's step over face lock. Step over face lock you. That's what it meant.
University.
Ooh, but yeah, I
Guys-
think the people's elbow, like, really, that's what it is. Like, that's what wrestling is, and it was dumb, and guaranteed Jim Cornette really had a full coronary about it, but that's what wrestling is. It's a silly fucking move.
You
Suck
ready?
my dick, fuck my ass.
You ready? Don't have to tell me twice. Are you ready for my worst thing about The Rock?
Oh, tell me.
It doesn't matter. That's what it is. That's what it is.
You know what the worst thing about The Rock was?
It doesn't matter. That's what it's the worst thing about him.
No. It was all the people when we were 14 that I remember listening to a Smart Mark radio show, and they would literally let people get on the air just to do the Rock impressions, but then cut it off.
baby. Yeah, baby.
But then cut them off. Well, it's the Rock. Like, but people, that'll be under like The Rock was at Borat levels.
Yeah, that's the thing. Borat was the last of a thing that used to happen, which was
Bane, Borat, The Rock,
Austin Powers.
Austin Powers.
There was a time, any Will Ferrell movie for a time, understand culture in our society was men would sit in a circle and say lines from those movies they enjoyed.
Yes. That is it wasn't a conversation, yes.
And it was insane.
That's crazy. I
Yeah.
forgot about that completely. And people would get so mad at you if you screwed up the line.
I
It
remember
would fucking
moving to Toronto and saying to people,
It does not matter. It doesn't. You fuck.
"That's all they have.
This is
No one will touch my dick. No one will touch it, but I know every word to Wedding Crashers."
You moved to Toronto.
I moved to Toronto at the tail end of this, and I remember we were at an outdoor table. Richard Lett was there at the Crown and Dragon,
Okay.
and I don't remember.
He faked his own death.
Oh, yeah, I don't think we aren't going to talk about that when the mics are off of one of these recordings. It's my favorite thing. Faked his own death. That guy going out the exact way I thought he would, pretending.
Sick.
And two people were arguing over what the line in Wedding Crashers was. That's what I just remember at that table. And we all just listened to them argue about it.
It's so crazy to like claim Wedding Crashers like the worst movie.
Here's where I watched Wedding
I
Crashers.
remember watching Wedding Crashers and be like, oh, I guess sometimes they are bad.
Which one?
No, I mean like comedy movies.
It's I watched it in COVID. It's all right. In terms of like comedy,
If you like to suck.
I do.
Okay, well, yeah.
Yeah, you like to swallow.
No, I think the best thing about The
Podcast
Rock
ends
was
now.
all of his comments about women.
Yep. Couldn't agree with that. Gotta
All
agree
right,
with it.
that's the end of this one. We'll be back next week,
Where
whatever
we-
this is, with Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, we're the guys. As the podcast is winding down, we're doing podcasts together as we end this program, and we
Yes.
are also making sure
Fuck.
that
Shit,
they are
pussy.
really fucking long and stupid. Fuck you.